All right, there seems to be movement. Hello, hello, hello.
Captain Nestor, Alex Ramos, with us at council table, President Katie Nestor and Chris Poster. Bertram, I don't know why I said that. And Ms. Richins is present.
Very good. Good morning to all of you. Is the state ready to proceed, Mr. Bloodworth?
Your Honor, can I suggest a few preliminary kind of housekeeping matters?
Please.
Your Honor, the first is the parties have an agreement as it relates to the exclusionary rule. The parties have agreed that family members can be present for opening, and that following opening, the defendant's mother, Lisa Kouri, and the defendant's aunt, Doreen Kouri, are going to be allowed to remain in the courtroom. We may excuse Doreen Kouri for certain witness testimony. Other than that, the parties are open.
I had court.
Okay.
And I dressed up for you too.
The inverse, Ms. Nestor. Eric Richins' family stays present for opening. Is that correct? Is that the agreement?
Yes,
But mostly I had court.
And then, to what extent are we invoking the exclusionary rule once the state begins to call witnesses?
It's my understanding that the first two witnesses they're going to call are Mr. Gene Richins and Ms. Katie Richins Benson. So as soon as they testify, they can come. We're not going to recall them, so they can sit in the trial for the rest of the trial.
Okay.
I don't know if you're ever going to call Amy.
TBD on Amy. Clint Benson is the third.
So all three of the family are going to testify first, and then they can remain in the courtroom. We're not going to recall Clint Benson either.
Are you
So-
seeking
Coat.
to exclude Katie?
It's not a robe.
while Gene is testifying?
No,
Okay.
I don't. It doesn't matter.
All right.
And then as far as Amy goes, if they're going to call her later, we may need to exclude her from the first set of witnesses that are the day of the death, because that's what she has knowledge about.
Is that today?
I think so. So, well, I'll talk with Mr. Bloodworth about exactly when they're going to call her, but she may need to be excluded because depending on what they put on. I think today she may need to be excluded for sure because they're going to be dealing with the day of the first responders when she was present. She'll be testifying about.
All right. Why don't we agree that we'll take a short break after openings just to get some certainty as to who's staying in the courtroom when the state begins to call witnesses?
Perfect.
Is that agreeable?
Yes, sir.
It is, Your Honor. Thank you. Your Honor, the second housekeeping matter deals with exhibits. The state is primarily handling exhibits and publishing exhibits electronically. I appreciate that the court will also want paper copies of those exhibits that are in paper form.
Is that true, Brittany? Do we need that for the appellate record, or can they provide just a numbered set of electronic records for the appellate record? Oh, for deliberation. Okay, understood.
Yes, Your Honor. And so what I propose is rather than add up the paper exhibits as we go, perhaps at a lunch break or the end of the day, we can then add up on the exhibits.
No problem.
Your Honor, the final housekeeping issue relates to slide presentations for openings. The parties exchanged presentations yesterday. I think we each have a very small number of objections to the others.
Okay.
Your Honor, to begin with the states, there are, I believe it is 2 photographs. Can you bring up those and we'll bring up ours?
Katie, pull up slide number 5.
So I can see 3 photographs. Do you want to see them at the same time?
Please.
Your Honor, if you just publish them to council table, please.
No problem. One moment. Go ahead.
Your Honor, the state is objecting to the 2 photographs at the bottom of Defense Exhibit 338, looks like. Under 401 and Beyond that, 403.
Put a little more meat on that bone for me. These seem to be consistent with other evidence and defense narrative about things related to Eric Richins being an avid hunter and going on hunting trips, including international. What's the 403 problem?
Your Honor, I don't know that exotic animal heads add any non-prejudicial value to the case.
What's the prejudicial part?
There may be jurors that, react strongly to exotic animal hunting, different, for example, than a deer or an elk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ms. Nestor, Ms. Lewis.
Your Honor, on the day that Eric passed, he was having conversations on the phone with his hunting folks about an exotic animal hunting trip that he had just completed in Mexico, which is going to be relevant to this case, the fact that he had just been in Mexico. I don't know how the prejudice plays because Ms. Richins also lived in this house. So if they're going to hold it against Eric, they're going to hold it against her.
Pause
so,
there.
Yeah.
First, these photographs, to the extent we're worried about them being wholly irrelevant, they have minimal probative value in as much as they are consistent with other evidence in the case regarding Eric Richins being an avid hunter and traveling to hunt and things that may or may not have happened while he was on hunts in and out of the state. And there's no unfair prejudice here. Candidly, this is Summit County. Every juror in this county knows that people hunt and sometimes have taxidermy trophies from their hunts in their homes. This is fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What else do you have?
Your Honor, that is the state's objection. The state will now bring up I think the slide that defense is objecting to.
See,
there may be two.
Scott, you need table 2, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, one moment.
Your Honor, can we use this?
Ma'am, are you a whore?
Because I want to use that a lot
Your Honor, while
during
he's
this
looking,
trial.
Did you have a copy of the preliminary instructions? You just given the same ones. Did you make any changes to the preliminary instructions? You're going to read the jury this morning.
I emphasize in the note-taking instruction that we do not have transcripts of the testimonies, that they will need to rely on their memories.
And all the rest are the same? Thank you, Your Honor.
I had a please here and there, if you care. But
It's the one before that also, but we can start with this one.
Yeah, start with this one.
All right.
The other one, the gifts.
go ahead, Ms. Lewis.
Your Honor, we object on to this slide and actually the next one they're going to pull up, primarily because these are not exhibits that have been pre-admitted. He's putting into the opening statement things that we don't know yet if they're going to come into evidence and how they're going to come into evidence. That's our objection on this one.
I guess it's the state's risk to run. Preview for me. Which witnesses are you going to get these in through?
Your Honor, this one, and we can shut this one down and bring up the next one.
This one, we'd also object under 403. It's the same objection that we don't know who this is coming in, if this is going to come in. And my guess is they're going to attribute this to somehow that Ms. Richins a greedy person. I think this is extremely prejudicial.
I think these, forgive me, Mr. Bloodworth, these are memes that your information technology expert would say were sent from Ms. Richins' device to other people shortly after Ms. Richins' death.
Your Honor, not the sent part. So
Okay.
for both the first exhibit and this second exhibit, the Chris Cochodemos is the witness that will, the state will move to admit these through. He will essentially testify that when conducting a forensic examination of the defendant's phone, he found that first document in a document folder in her phone, and he found the thumbnails and pathways to these 3 gifts in an image file in her phone. And that image file shows a date and a time that they were accessed, but it doesn't provide information as to whether they were sent or not.
What's the date they were accessed?
They were accessed at 8:30 a.m. on March the 4th, 2022.
And just complete the sentence for me. What had happened on March 3rd?
Well, Your Honor, Eric Richins was pronounced dead at 3:58 a.m. on March the 4th. And the very last of medical examiner personnel, sheriff's deputies, crime scene techs exited the house at 8:30 a.m.
And Mr. Costradimos will testify that the pathways, internet pathways to these three gifts were accessed.
I can't find the link.
At
8:30 a.m.
So there's how it's coming in. Ms. Lewis, forgive me, you were making a 403 argument.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, Your Honor, we just renew our objection under 403. I think they speak for themselves in terms of the prejudice. We also don't know who had the phone at that time. We don't know where these were downloaded from, if they were sent to Ms. Richins. We don't know if she put these on her phone. We really don't, we know very little about these photos or these gifts. So we just renew our objection under that.
Okay. Internet content that was accessed from defendant's phone on the morning of March 4, 2022 has probative value because it's circumstantial evidence of what the person with that phone was thinking. And there is a link between that phone or that device and defendant. These gifts that are linked back to that device in that day and time by internet pathways that will come in through the state's experts are not the probative value of them in showing being circumstantial evidence of defendant's state of mind is not substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Anything further, Ms. Lewis?
Not on that. And
Okay.
Brad, could you just briefly pull up the last one? I just want to renew our objection to the final slide.
I'm sorry, which side? The
The
Vacation Express?
No. I
Oh,
told you we're
sorry.
just going to renew our objection. Your Honor, this last slide is a photo.
I didn't say anything about the Vacation Express one. Do you want me to talk about that?
Oh, yes.
I didn't
thought you
understand what your position on the Vacation
Oh,
Express one
Our
was.
position was that we don't know how this is coming into evidence and it's not been pre-admitted. And
Okay.
it's prejudicial if it doesn't ever come in.
Mr. Bloodworth, I understood the Vacation Express electronic document, which was saved on a device that's connected to defendant, will be coming in through Mr. Cotradimos, correct?
Correct, John.
Proffer for me, can you call it back up? I can't remember the date on it.
Sure. Your Honor, it was a booking on December the 7th, 2021 for a trip for the defendant and Mr. Grossman to the Caribbean. The trip was supposed to take place in April of 2022.
Okay. This information, the state has sitting here today without Mr. Cotradimos on the stand, has proffered a legally valid route to admit it. And it has probative value regarding what defendant's plans were at various points in time. Its probative value is not substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice.
And I'm assuming that the state will not be saying that they actually went on this trip in opening. Well, 'cause they
I don't
didn't.
know. Did they actually go?
No, they never did.
Okay, so I don't imagine the state will be making that representation.
And then the final slide, we just want to renew our objection. Your Honor's already ruled on that, but for the record, we want to renew our objection to the book. And also our objection that if this is coming in, we'd ask that the entire interview be played. So we want to renew our objections on those grounds.
No new argument, though.
No.
Right? Okay. I appreciate that you've renewed it. The court stands on its prior denial of those objections for the reasons previously indicated. Mr. Bloodworth, from the state's perspective, any additional housekeeping?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Nestor, Ms. Lewis?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, real nuts and bolts stuff. Is that portable mic turned on, Mr. Bloodworth?
It is.
Would you tap it for me? Very good. Ms. Nestor, same for you.
I turned it off, but
Okay.
test it. Can you hear? Can you hear?
Very good.
Yep, I'm turning it back off though.
Okay. Bruni, you got your oath ready? All right. Do we have all 12 jurors, Tracy? Mr. Bloodworth, are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, fair notice for all spectators. Every single time the jury comes in or leaves, we all sing. We're ready for the jury.
Yeah, this ain't legal advice, but my confidence says otherwise. Woke up early, said I'll be productive. Now I'm deep in a trial like it's abductive. Intent, motive, pause the clip. Rewind that side, did you see that lip? Didn't go to law school, didn't crack a book. But I watched Mike, now I'm legally shook. Tabs open, group chat loud. Bro, that witness just lied, I'm proud. Judge says order, I say it too. Like, sir, I object from my living room. We watch the trials on Law Talk with Mike. Suddenly we all got legal insight. Finger on pause, confidence high. And all that testimony's fried. We don't know law, but we sound airtight. After 2 streams of Law Talk with Mike. All right, chat, slow down, let me clarify quick. No yelling, no petition, don't make you legit. I'm just here with the law in a neutral tone. Y'all turning every arbitration into a felony charge alone. Yes, I see the comment, no, that's not how it works. No, you can't sue vibes, feelings, or courtroom smirks. I say maybe, chat, here's case closed. I say context, y'all build a legal manifesto. I blink once, super chats ring, mic equation, now I'm trending
You will well
again.
and truly answer such questions as may be put to you touching your competency to serve as jurors in the case now before the court, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury. Thank you.
Please have a seat. All right, good morning. Thank you for your patience. I assure you that we were working while you were waiting. That will happen from time to time. I appreciate your patience. Members of the jury, you have been selected and sworn as the jury in this case. I'll now give you some instructions explaining how the trial will unfold. I'll give you a larger set of instructions at the end of the trial explaining the law. You are required to consider and follow all of the court's instructions. The defendant is accused of committing 1 or more crimes. You'll decide if the defendant is guilty or not guilty. Please keep an open mind throughout the trial. At the end of the trial, you will discuss the evidence and reach a verdict. You took an oath to well and truly try the issues pending between the parties and to render a true and just verdict. The oath is your promise to do your duty as a member of the jury. Please be alert, please pay attention, and please follow the court's instructions. The prosecution has filed a document called an information that contains the charges against the defendant. The information is not evidence of anything. It is only a method of accusing a defendant of a crime. I'll now read the information. Count 1, criminal homicide, aggravated murder. Between on or about March 3, 2022 and March 4, 2022 in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did intentionally or knowingly cause the death of another individual under any of the following circumstances. The actor committed homicide for pecuniary gain, and or the actor committed homicide by means of the administration of a poison or of any lethal substance, or of any substance administered in a lethal amount, dosage, or quantity. Furthermore, the defendant was a cohabitant with the other individual. Count 2, attempted criminal homicide, aggravated murder. On or about February 14, 2022, in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did intentionally or knowingly attempt to cause the death of another individual under any of the following circumstances. The actor attempted to commit homicide for pecuniary gain, and or the actor attempted to commit homicide by means of the administration of a poison or of any lethal substance, or of any substance administered in a lethal amount, dosage, or quantity. Furthermore, the defendant was a cohabitant with the other individual. Count 3, insurance fraud. Between on or about January 29, 2022, and on or about August 31 of 2022 in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did, with intent to deceive or defraud, intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly devise a scheme or artifice to obtain anything of value by means of false or fraudulent pretenses, representations, promises, or material omissions. Furthermore, the value of the property, money, or things obtained or sought to be obtained is or exceeds $5,000. Count 4, insurance fraud. On or about June 14 of 2022 in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did, with intent to deceive or defraud, present or cause to be presented any oral or written statement or representation as part of or in support of a claim for payment or other benefit pursuant to an insurance policy, certificate, or contract, knowing that the statement or representation contained false, incomplete, or fraudulent information concerning any fact or thing material to the claim. Furthermore, the value of the property, money, or things obtained or sought to be obtained is or exceeds $5,000. Count 5, forgery. On or about January 29, 2022, in Summit County, state of Utah, the defendant did, with the purpose to defraud someone, make, complete, execute, authenticate, or utter a writing so that the writing or the making, completion, execution, authentication, or utterance purports to be the act of another person, whether that person is existent or non-existent. The defendant has entered pleas of not guilty and denies committing the crimes. Every crime has component parts called elements. The prosecution must prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. Until then, you must presume that the defendant is not guilty. The defendant does not have to prove anything. The defendant does not have to testify, call witnesses, or present evidence. The prosecution has the burden of proving the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Some of you may have served as jurors in civil cases where you were told that it is only necessary to prove that a fact is more likely true than not true. In criminal cases, the prosecution's proof must be more powerful than that. It must be beyond a reasonable doubt. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt is proof that leaves you firmly convinced of the defendant's guilt. There are very few things in this world that we know with absolute certainty. And in criminal cases, the law does not require proof that overcomes every possible doubt. If, based on your consideration of the evidence, you are firmly convinced that the defendant is guilty of the crime charged, you must find the defendant guilty. If, on the other hand, you think there is a real possibility that the defendant is not guilty, you must give the defendant the benefit of the doubt and find the defendant not guilty. Remember, the fact that the defendant is charged with a crime is not evidence of guilt. The law presumes that the defendant is not guilty of the crimes charged. This presumption persists unless the prosecution's evidence convinces you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. Regarding our respective roles, all of us, judge, jury, and lawyers, are officers of the court and have different roles during the trial. As the judge, I'll supervise the trial, decide legal issues, and instruct you on the law. As the jury, you must follow the law as you weigh the evidence and decide the factual issues. Factual issues relate to what did or did not happen in this case. The lawyers will present evidence and try to persuade you to decide the case in one way or the other. Neither the lawyers nor I decide the case. That is your role. Do not be influenced by what you think our opinions might be. Please make your decision based on the law given in my instructions and on the evidence presented in court. As jurors, you'll decide whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty, and you must base your decision based only on the evidence. Evidence usually consists of the testimony and exhibits presented at trial. Testimony is what witnesses say under oath. Exhibits are things like documents, photographs, or other physical objects. The fact that the defendant has been accused of a crime and brought to trial is not evidence. What the lawyers say is not evidence. For example, their opening statements and closing arguments are not evidence. You must keep an open mind throughout the trial. Evidence can only be presented one piece at a time. Do not form or express an opinion about this case while the trial is going on. You must not decide on a verdict until after you have heard all the evidence and have discussed it thoroughly with your fellow jurors in your deliberations. Rules govern what evidence may be presented to you. On the basis of these rules, the lawyers may object to proposed evidence. If they do, I'll rule in one of two ways. If I sustain the objection, the proposed evidence will not be allowed. If I overrule the objection, the proposed evidence will be allowed. Please do not evaluate the evidence on the basis of whether objections are made. Regarding the order of the trial, the prosecution will give its opening statement. An opening statement gives an overview of the case from one point of view and summarizes what that lawyer thinks the evidence will show. Defense counsel may choose to make an opening statement right after the prosecutor, or wait until after all of the prosecution's evidence has been presented, or not make one at all. You will then hear the prosecution's evidence. Evidence is usually presented by calling and questioning witnesses. What they say is called testimony. A witness is questioned first by the lawyer who called that witness, and then by the opposing lawyer. Please consider all testimony, whether from direct or cross-examination, regardless of who calls the witness. After the prosecution has presented all of its evidence, the defendant may present evidence, though the defendant has no duty to do so. If the defendant does present evidence, the prosecution may then present additional evidence. After both sides have presented all of their evidence, I'll give you final instructions on the law that you must follow in reaching a verdict. You will then hear closing arguments from the lawyers. The prosecutor will speak first, followed by defense counsel. Then the prosecutor speaks last because the government has the burden of proof. Finally, you will deliberate in the jury room. You may take your notes with you. You will discuss the case and reach a verdict. From time to time, we'll call a recess. It may be for a few minutes or longer. During recesses, please do not talk about this case with anyone, not family, not friends, and not even with each other. Until the trial is over, do not mingle or talk with the lawyers, parties, witnesses, or anyone else connected with the case. Court clerks or bailiffs can answer general questions, such as the length of breaks or the location of restrooms, but they cannot comment about the case or anyone involved. The goal is to avoid the impression that anyone is trying to influence you improperly. So if people involved in the case seem to ignore you outside of court, they're not being rude, they're just following this instruction. Until the trial is over, please do not read or listen to any news reports or other reports about this case. Please don't do any research or visit any locations related to this case. And if you observe anything that seems to violate this instruction, please report it immediately to a clerk or bailiff. In the past, jurors have caused serious problems during trials by using electronic devices. such as their phones or their tablets or their computers, to research issues or share information about a case. You may be tempted to use your devices to investigate the case or to share your thoughts about the trial with others. If you are serving as a juror, you must not use electronic devices for any of these purposes, just as you must not read or listen to any sources outside the courtroom about the case or
a.m. She feels that Eric is cold. She nudges him. He does not respond. She sees that he is stiff and pale. His mouth is wide open. At 3:06 a.m., Kouri Richins unlocks her cell phone. She travels 243 feet beginning at 3:08 a.m. She unlocks her cell phone again at 3:10, 3:15, and twice at 3:19. At 3:21, Kouri Richins unlocks her cell phone and calls 911. Paramedics respond, but they are unable to revive Eric. He has no pulse, he is cold. They pronounce him dead at 3:58 a.m. on March the 4th, but they think he has been dead a while. My name again is Brad Bloodworth. I am one of Summit County's criminal prosecutors who, along with Lindsay Shervinack and Fred Burmester, will present to you the state of Utah's aggravated murder case against Kouri Richins for causing the poisoning death of her husband and the father of her 3 children, Eric Richins. The state will also prove to you that 2 weeks before murdering Eric Richins, Kouri Richins attempted to murder him. And 2 weeks before that, by fraud and forgery, she took out an insurance policy on his life.
Objection, can we approach?
Weeks before attempting to murder Eric Richins, Kouri Richins took out an insurance policy by fraud and forgery on Eric's life. And 2 weeks after Eric died, she submitted a fraudulent claim on yet another insurance policy. In this opening statement, I will summarize for you some of the evidence that the state will present over the next few days, perhaps weeks, so that you have a framework to assemble and analyze all of the evidence. The evidence will prove that Kouri Richins murdered Eric for his money and to get a fresh start at life. More than anything, she wanted his money to perpetuate her facade of privilege, affluence, and success. Kouri Richins owned a house flipping business. She would purchase, rehab, and resell homes. She presented herself to friends and business associates as remarkably successful. The evidence will prove that on the day that Eric died, Kouri Richins owed over $4.5 million to over 20 different lenders. And she did not have the ability to service that debt because her bank accounts were exhausted and her credit was exhausted. She had been taking out new loans to include payday loans to service existing loans, but her new credit was drying up. In the 5 months leading to Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins overdrafted over 200 transactions, totaling over $300,000. And on the day that Eric died, Kouri Richins was scheduled to close on an unfinished and derelict mansion in Midway, and thus take on an additional $3.2 million in debt. She did not have the financial ability to service that debt, to rehab the mansion, or to hold on to it long enough to resell it. The mansion may appear impressive from a distance, but upon close inspection, it is just a facade. On the other hand, on the day that Eric died, his estate was worth over $4 million. And the evidence will prove that Kouri Richins believed she would inherit it all. She believed that she would inherit Eric's $2 million interest in a stonemasonry business, an interest that a prenuptial agreement prevented her from getting any part of if they divorced, but permitted her to get all of if Eric died while they were married. She believed that she would inherit the $1 million or so home that they lived in, but that Eric owned separate and apart from her. And she believed that she would benefit from nearly $2 million in insurance on Eric's life, to include the $100,000 policy that she took out a few weeks before he died. Now, for Kouri Richins' fresh start at life motive. This motive overlaps with her money motive. She needed Eric Richins' money to get her fresh start at life. The evidence will prove that Kouri Richins was chronically unhappy in her marriage. She thought that having children would make her happier, but it did not. She consulted with a divorce attorney in the months leading up to Eric's death. 3 months before Eric's death, Kouri Richins booked a $4,000, 5-night, all-inclusive vacation for her and her boyfriend, Robert Josh Grossman, at the Secrets St. Martin's Resort and Spa in the Caribbean. They were to check in the month after Eric died. Three weeks before Eric's death, 15 days before Eric's death, 1 day before the charge, attempted murder, Kouri Richins text messaged Josh Grossman, "If I was divorced right now and asked you to marry me tomorrow, you would? I just want to lay on the couch and cuddle you. Watch a murder documentary and snuggle." Five days after the charged attempted murder and 11 days before the charged murder, Kouri Richins text messaged Josh Grossman, "Babe, I miss you. I want you today, every day. Not just sexually, but physically, mentally, every day when I wake up. I do want a future together. I do want you. Figure life out together. If he could just go away. And you could just be here. Life would be so perfect. I love you. I don't know what my deal is today. I'm sorry." 9 days after the charged attempted murder, 1 week before the charged murder, Kouri Richins text messaged her boyfriend, "I have a crazy dream. You quit your job. I divorce and come up with millions and millions. We buy Midway and live in the guest house and rent out the huge house as a big event center. $15,000 a day like they charge down the road, maybe $12,000 to stay competitive. And we will just run the event center as our daily job and hang out every day, raise some kids, have a little farm. Deal?" Just over 2 weeks after Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins text messaged her boyfriend a link to the secret St. Martin's Resort and Spa in the Caribbean and asked, "Are we there yet?" One month and 5 days after Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins texted, "I think I want you to be my husband one day." Now for the attempted murder charge. Carmen Lauber was a house cleaner who worked for Kouri Richins' aunt's house cleaning company. She cleaned Kouri Richins' house. She knew Kouri Richins for nearly 9 years. Kouri Richins knew that Carmen Lauber had a criminal history involving drugs. The evidence will prove that on February the 11th, 2022, 3 days before the charged attempted murder, Carmen Lauber, at Kouri Richins' request, purchased illicit pills from a street drug dealer who was a friend of a friend. And she gave those pills to Kouri Richins. That street dealer's name is Robert Crozier, and he sold Carmen Lauber the pills at a draper in Maverick. 3 days later, on Valentine's Day, Kouri Richins purchased a sandwich from the Mirror Lake Diner and left it for Eric Richins. She then departed Camas and met up with Josh Grossman an hour away. At 11:33 that morning, Eric texted Kouri Richins, "I'm gonna lay down for a bit. If I don't start getting better, I'm gonna head to the hospital soon." Shortly thereafter, all activity on Eric's cell phone ceased for nearly 90 minutes in the middle of a busy workday. Once activity resumed, Eric Richins called his 2 best friends. They sounded to him scared, somber, confused, bewildered. A few days after that, Kouri Richins asked Carmen Lauber if she could get something stronger. The evidence will prove that on February the 26th, 5 or 6 days before Eric's death, Carmen Lauber, again at Kouri Richins' request, purchased pills from the same street dealer at the same Maverick in Draper. And she left those pills at a home that Kouri Richins was just finishing up a rehab on. The evidence will prove that those illicit pills contained fentanyl. The autopsy and toxicology report shows that Eric Richins died of fentanyl poisoning. He had several times a lethal amount of fentanyl in his blood and more in his stomach. And that extraordinary amount of fentanyl was intentional, not accidental. The evidence will prove that time and again, Kouri Richins tried to cover up her attempted murder and ultimate murder of Eric Richins. when confronted with Eric's reaction on Valentine's Day, Kouri Richins text messaged her friend. It was Valentine's Day, and Eric and I were both working from home that day, and I ordered lunch from Mirror Lake. He never broke out in hives or used an EpiPen. I was fucking with him. Bailey was there too. He said the sandwich hurt his stomach, so he was going to nap. No hives, no EpiPen. Kouri Richins was an hour away from Eric Richins with her boyfriend. Regarding the morning of Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins wrote in a notebook that she entered their room at 3:20 a.m. She saw that when she nudged Eric, nothing happened. She grabbed her phone and called 911. She first grabbed her phone at least 3:06 a.m. and delayed calling 911 at least 15 minutes. The evidence will also prove that Kouri Richins had a guilty conscience. The morning that Eric died, his family came over. Kouri Richins could not face her children or Eric's dad, Eric Richins. She didn't speak to him. A few days after Eric's death, Kouri Richins and her boyfriend, Josh, they drove into the Uintas and talked about Eric's death for the first time. Kouri Richins asked Josh, while serving in Iraq, did you ever kill anyone? When he responded, she asked, how did that make you feel? Along the lines of both cover up and guilty conscience, Kouri Richins' text messages and other data from Kouri Richins' phone for the 2 months leading up to Eric Richins' death and a week or two after have all been deleted. Police seized that phone. She got a new phone. And on that new phone, there were the following internet searches. Can cops uncover deleted messages iPhone? Can you delete everything off an old iPhone without actually having it? Can deleted text messages be retrieved from an iPhone? How to completely wipe an iPhone clear remotely. How to permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely. On April the 13th, 2022, about 5 weeks after Eric Richins' death, detectives informed Kouri Richins that the autopsy and toxicology results show that Eric died of fentanyl poisoning. Thereafter, searches on her phone include if someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as? Can cops force you to do a lie detector test? Women, Utah prison, luxury prisons for the rich. in America. Almost a year after Eric Richins' death, when Kouri Richins knew the police were investigating her for his death, Kouri Richins published a children's book on how to deal with the loss of a parent. And she promoted that children's book on local television and local radio. The state will present to you this evidence and more through a series of fact witnesses, expert witnesses, documents, and Kouri Richins' own words. As you evaluate the evidence and you consider it and you weigh it, let me offer 4 recommendations. The first is the evidence will prove that Kouri Richins murdered Eric Richins, but also consider the evidence that proves that Eric Richins did not kill himself or die accidentally. The evidence will prove that Kouri Richins had the means, motive, and opportunity to murder Eric Richins. But please consider the evidence that proves no one else did. Consider the evidence leading up to Eric Richins' death that proves that Kouri Richins murdered him, but also consider the evidence after Eric's death that also proves it. As you evaluate Kouri Richins' conduct, consider the evidence that proves that she richly values and trades on her perceived appearance, affluence, privilege, and success. Let me please highlight 2 of the judge's instructions that he just provided. The first is stay focused on the evidence. What the attorneys say, how they say it, their voice inflection, none of that is evidence. Please stay focused on the evidence. Please take notes. As he said, you will probably only hear from a witness one time, and that is when the witness testifies. At the end of the trial, I'll stand back up here. And in closing argument, we will analyze the evidence. We will apply it to the elements that the judge instructed you on. And the state of Utah will ask you to find Kouri Darden Richins guilty of the aggravated murder of Eric Richins, the attempted aggravated murder of Eric Richins, 2 counts of insurance fraud and forgery. Back for a moment to the morning of March the 4th, 2022. It is 8:30. Medical examiners place Eric's body in a body bag onto his home for the last time. His boys are upstairs with their uncle. Kouri Richins has not yet
Okay, what's a good phone number in case we get disconnected? 435-671-4987. Okay, it's gonna be in Francis. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. I don't know. I just came in. I was sleeping with my kids. Okay, I can't understand you. I need you to take a deep breath. What's going on? I don't know. I was sleeping in with my kids. I just came in the bed, in our bed, and I turned over, and it was cold. It was cold. Who's cold? My husband. I turned the light off. And he's not breathing? He's not breathing? I need you to confirm it for me. Is he not breathing? No. Okay, can you do CPR? No, I don't know how. You don't know? I'm going to tell you how to. Are you willing to do CPR? Yeah. Okay.
Those were the sounds of a wife becoming a widow. 6.5 hours before that terrible phone call, Eric and Kouri Richins were in that same bedroom, and they were celebrating. They were celebrating because Kouri was about to close on the biggest real estate deal that her company had ever done. She was about to close on something called the Midway Mansion. Slide 2, please. A sprawling, multi-million-dollar home in Midway that had been abandoned before construction was completed. And the plan was to fix it up just enough to resell it. In other words, repair the windows, make it look nice. There had been vandalism inside, clean it all out, get it ready to flip and sell. And the concept is to sell it for millions more than the bargain basement price they got, because it was just a dilapidated, falling apart, abandoned property. And the plan was to flip it for so much that she was going to make millions of dollars of profit, at least $2 million for her and for all of her investors. And Eric was a part of this. Eric had been out at the property that very day, the day that he died, spreading gravel to make it look nice for open houses. And so that it'd be ready as soon as they closed. These two had other things to celebrate on March 3rd, besides this big deal that was going to make them a lot of money. One of the things they had to celebrate was that Eric's business was doing great. Can we have slide 3? Eric worked as a stonemason, and you're going to see, this is 2020. This isn't even the year before he died. So his income kept going up and up. But he declared to the IRS that he made over $750,000 that year. That was just in 1 year of what Eric was bringing in to their marriage and their family. They also lived in a beautiful home. Slide 4. It was a beautiful home. They got married in that home. That home was half Kouri's. That's how it works in marriage. You get half of a home as soon as you live in it. They also had a 2-story garage that you can kind of see in that picture a little bit back from the house. And it was filled, slide 5. It was filled with exotic animals. Eric was a huge hunter. He went on trips all over the world. They had the kind of money that they were blessed with. He could travel to Africa and travel to Mexico, which he did 2 weeks before he died. He was in Mexico hunting an exotic sheep, actually. They had four-wheelers. They had lots of vehicles. They had snowmobiles and ATVs and ski equipment. They were very blessed. They had a lot to celebrate. They also had a wonderful family. Slide 6. The one thing that I don't think anybody in this courtroom is ever going to challenge, us included, is that Eric and Kouri adored their boys. They were their world. They were in that place that those of us who've had kids have all been in, where you spend your days driving them around to soccer and all their activities, and they're just the center of your world. And that's how both of these parents felt about their kids. They loved them a lot. And what's more important is that the boys adored their father, adored them, adored him. And Kouri knew that about her sons and about her family. Their marriage had survived through some rough times, and you're going to hear about that. Like any marriage, it wasn't a perfect marriage. They'd gone through a really bad year where they both contemplated divorce, and they did what a lot of couples do. They went to marriage counseling, they worked it out, and they decided to stick it out, and they did. You're going to hear testimony from one of Eric's closest friends that in the few weeks before Eric died, he and Kouri were the happiest together that he'd ever seen them. And you're going to hear that from one of Eric's closest friends. Now, on March 3rd, Eric started sending excited texts before their celebration to Kouri, saying, hey, let's get together. Let's have some celebratory shots. Slide 7, please. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys aren't going to be able to read that. It's really small, but it basically says, you want it? Thank you. You want to grab lunch today with a celebratory shot? That was Kouri saying she can't, that she has other plans, but he's excited. He wants to celebrate about the big closing. When Eric got home the evening of March 3rd, after he'd been out at the property spreading the gravel, he got home and they all had dinner together as a family. Kouri's mom dropped by. They visited with her mom. Her mom had actually been out at the property the same day with a carpenter trying to get some bids and get it ready to start getting it fixed up. Kouri's mom left. They tucked their boys into bed. And around 9 o'clock, they decided to have their celebratory shot. A friend had given them a gift of some of those, I'm sure you guys have seen them, those copper Moscow Mule cups that you make like in breweries and in bars. And they decided to try out their new cups. So Kouri made what's called a Moscow Mule. And they also had a little shot, which is Eric's idea, of a little lemon drop. They had their drinks. They actually didn't finish them and set the cups in the sink at the house right there. Around 9:30, they were getting ready to go to bed, and they heard one of the children who suffered from something called night terrors, where they scream out, they have nightmares. One of the children was crying out. So Kouri went to sleep with her son around 9:30 that night. You're going to hear the police. Kouri also told the police the day that they came to the house that she believed Eric might have had what we call a marijuana gummy. You're going to hear Eric loved marijuana gummies. He used them a lot. And the police found a whole bunch of them in the house, in his things, in his clothes, in his closet. You know, he was a marijuana gummy user. Slide 8. These are all gummies that the police found in Eric's things. Some of them you can tell had commercial bags where he bought them from dispensaries. Some were in clear bags that he bought from somewhere else, the location unknown. So you take it down. So as they're getting ready to go to bed, oh, you're going to hear that after Kouri left the room, Eric was on his phone. And he was talking to a friend named Scott Wagner. And you're going to hear that Scott Wagner talked to him at 10 o'clock at night. That when Scott Wagner talked to him, he did not sound drunk. He did not sound high. He did not sound like he was on fentanyl or anything else. That there was no sound of the wife or children in the background. That he was alert, that he was having a totally normal conversation with Scott, and this was at 10 p.m. Shortly after 10 p.m., you're going to hear, forgot to mention, when Kouri left the bedroom, she has always maintained from beginning to end that she left her phone in the room, in the charger next to her bed, which we all do at night when we're about to go to bed, we charge our phones. Nothing unusual there. After 10 o'clock, around 10:30, so this is an hour after Kouri's left the bedroom and is in with her son, Kouri's phone is unlocked and moves just a few feet. Now you're going to hear Kouri's friends in this trial and some other people testify that Eric was always checking Kouri's phone. And you can kind of see why he probably was doing that. Based on what you've already heard from the state. Maybe he had good reasons, but he checked her phone a lot. So we know he did that at about 10:30 because we have proof that the phone opened and closed. Moved a short distance, like maybe walking around the bedroom, and then closed again. And that is the last thing we know for sure that Eric did the night that he died. Sometime after that, we don't know exactly when Eric died. Slide 9. When Eric died, his Apple Watch was hanging on a charger, nice and neat. His phone was in a charger on the nightstand. He was lying in his underwear, like when you go to bed. He was on his back on his side of the bed. So it appears pretty clear that Eric went to bed and fell asleep and died in his sleep. You're also going to hear, slide 10, that there was an empty pill bottle right next to him in his nightstand. And I want you to pay careful attention to this. The empty pill bottle expired in 2016. Made out of him for pain pills. That's going to become important later. Sometime after 3 a.m., Kouri wakes up and comes back into a dark bedroom. You're going to hear she unlocked her phone. Probably, we're not going to dispute the times that the state just mentioned. The phone gets unlocked shortly after 3 a.m., which is what time Kouri says from day one that she got up. She always tells the police, I got up at 3. The phone verifies that. The phone moved around the house a little bit. You're going to hear the distances in the house. There's going to be investigators that are going to tell you how many feet from the master bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. They're going to tell you about how many feet are in that house if you're walking around the house. It appears clear she walked around the house just a little bit for a few minutes. And then the phone stops being active, which is indicative of being back in the charger, indicative of not moving anymore. And a few minutes later, you hear the 911 call that you guys just heard. So that gives her enough time to crawl into the bed, touch her husband, and realize he's cold. Just about 3 minutes. That's all it took. And she picks her phone up, calls 911. You're going to see that the phone records prove all of this. At that time, I believe everyone's going to agree, and I think the state even admitted it in their opening. It's pretty clear he'd been dead for several hours. And you're going to actually see a photo when we pass. Our blood pools in the position that we lay in. It's not circulating anymore because our heart's not working. And you're going to see a picture of his back. And you're going to see that the blood he had been dead long enough for the blood to pool on his back because he was laying on his back. So that usually indicates he'd been dead for several hours, and the medical examiner is going to tell you that. So those 6 hours, ladies and gentlemen, between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m., somewhere in that time, Eric Richins died. Somewhere in that time, he ingested a fatal dose of fentanyl. What you will never hear after 4 years of investigation, where as recently as 2 weeks ago, they were back searching that house. After 4 years of investigation and 5 weeks of this trial, you know what you're never going to hear is how that fentanyl got inside of him, because there is zero evidence of that. To this day, slide 11, please. You're going to see that his death certificate, that's the wrong thing, Katie. Just take it down. Sorry about that. That's the wrong thing. His death certificate reads that the manner of his death is still unknown to this day. You're going to hear testimony that a medical examiner has the ability to declare the manner of someone's death. It can be homicide, it can be suicide, it can be accidental overdose, it can be murder, it can be anything. To this day, the medical examiner, the professional that's the head of declaring how people die in the state of Utah, has never been able to determine the manner of Eric Richins' death. Now, you're going to hear first responders and law enforcement tell you that no fentanyl was found in the bedroom the night of his death. But you're also going to hear them that they didn't search for it. You know, we've all seen the TV shows, the crime shows. What do you do if there's a murder, right? If you think there's a murder, tape it off. No one gets in or out. It becomes a crime scene. You search everything. You search the closet. You search the bathroom. You search the vehicles. You search the house. You search the office. They didn't do that. All kinds of friends and family, and you're going to see video of all the people that were in the house that day. There was no restrictions on anybody. And guess what was sitting in the sink? The cups. They were sitting there. They were never taken. They were never tested. Nothing. The nanny ended up putting them in the dishwasher the next morning, and they still had fluid in them. You're going to hear the day after Eric died, not day after, day of, they started interviewing Kouri over and over and over again about what happened that night. You're going to hear for yourselves that her explanation of what happened that night has never changed from that call you just listened to. As far as the timing, as far as what happened, never. Law enforcement secretly recorded her phone conversations for over a year after this incident. 2 years later, listening in to her conversations with her family to see if her story about what happened that night ever altered, ever changed. You're going to hear it never changed. You're going to hear that before Eric's body was even taken out of their bedroom, Kouri was told the body was going to a morgue for an autopsy. So within an hour of the cops getting there, she knew there was going to be an autopsy of his body. And what happens when you have an autopsy? You figure out how someone died. That's what doctors do. They test your blood, they test your bodily tissues. So she knew that. But did she tell the police or the medical responders or the EMS, hey guys, you might want to check for fentanyl? My husband used it all the time. Did she do that? Because with one sentence, she could have taken all suspicion off her and made this about a drug overdose. But she didn't. As a matter of fact, she could have staged a whole drug overdose scene with fentanyl pills on his stomach and everything all over the place and say, gosh, you know, I tried to get him in rehab for years and I couldn't. But she didn't. And you know why? Because she told her truth. She told her truth over and over again. And it's exactly what she told that 911 operator that you just heard and you're going to hear over and over in trial. I don't know what happened.
Oh my God.
Here, that Eric Richins' family simply could not accept that.
I don't even know if you guys can hear me.
There's something to blame for losing someone they loved.
But you know how I feel about this her truth bullshit.
That's totally understandable. No family ever wants to believe that behind closed doors, someone they love is using drugs. No one wants to believe that. But the family's need to make sense of Eric's death went way beyond what you would expect a normal grieving family to go through. You will hear that as the detective arrived at the house, Eric's sisters spoke with the detective in the driveway. This is before anyone in the house knows how Eric died. If he had a heart attack, if he had an aneurysm, a lot of people were talking about aneurysms at the scene, and you're going to hear that. Nobody knew yet how he died. The sisters were telling the police, Kouri probably did this. Kouri probably did this. Day one. His sister Katie tells the police, and you're going to hear her testify about this, that Kouri had recently found out that Eric had put all their assets in a trust and that Katie was in charge of the trust. She's going to say, I'm in charge. And that Kouri didn't like that. She told that to the police at the scene. So Kouri already knew before Eric ever died that his assets were protected in a trust and didn't automatically come to her if he died, that there were legal things you had to go through. You're going to hear it didn't stop there. The Richins family hired a private investigator, and you're going to see how much they paid that private investigator. And it's almost $100,000. And they paid that investigator to spend every waking minute digging up as much dirt as he possibly could on Kouri Richins to try to implicate her in Eric's death. Even though the state already had all the evidence from the scene that night that would show what happened in those 6 hours, right? The investigator goes looking for skeletons in the closet. And boy, did he find some. You're going to hear that after an exhaustive private investigation into every single thing about Kouri Richins' life, he uncovered plenty of things that I'm quite sure she's not proud of. She's not a perfect person. She's a flawed person. I would submit we all are. But the prosecutor just turned some of her most intimate, personal correspondence into entertainment with bubbles and slides. And they're going to continue to assassinate her character throughout this trial, so get ready. The judge has instructed you not to prejudge this case and to wait until you hear all of the evidence before you make up your mind. So let me assure you, no marriage is what it appears on the surface. What happens when we close our bedroom door is very private and is not always known by family or friends. And I think you're going to learn a lot about Kouri and Eric's relationship in this trial. And I would ask you to wait before you go rush to judgment like they have about her sexual morality, her personal decisions, about her marriage, and about her family. The prosecution is going to spend days and weeks telling you all about arguments Kouri's had with her husband in years past. Problems in their marriage, yeah, they had them. Disagreements, infidelities, ups and downs in their marriage, all true. They're also going to tell you all about Kouri's business. They tore it apart. They examined every bank account, every real estate deal she ever did, her taxes, when she made money, when she lost money, if she paid her taxes on time, if she bounced checks, if she borrowed too much, if she didn't borrow enough, if she borrowed wisely, if she was too risky in her business. You're going to hear all of that. None of that has anything to do with those 6 hours, but you're going to sit through it and you're going to listen to all of it. And you're going to hear testimony about her most intimate personal and business affairs going back years before Eric died. The family and the private investigator even became convinced that Kouri had tried to kill Eric before on Valentine's Day when he had an allergic reaction to a sandwich, drank some Benadryl, may or may not have taken an EpiPen shot, took a 2-hour nap, and then drove his kids to soccer. That's the evidence you're going to hear about Valentine's Day. You're going to hear that he had discussed with Kouri that he was going to drive the kids to soccer. So they're asking you to believe that she secretly put narcotics in her husband's food right before he's going to drive the 3 things that matter the most to her in the world to soccer. You're going to hear that this incident wasn't even a blip to Eric. He had a professional allergy doctor that he saw very shortly after this incident. He never even brought this up. Never even talked about it with his doctor. You're going to hear that he laughed about it with one of Kouri's friends who visited shortly after. He thought it was funny. Interestingly, you're also going to hear that people who use oxycodone or hydrocodone, like that bottle said, also tend to have allergic reactions. They can have very similar symptoms if you use pain pills to the symptoms described of what Eric experienced on Valentine's Day. Here's what you're not going to see in this trial. You're not going to see one single bit of evidence showing what went to a doctor, if he did any tests run, because he didn't. No evidence at all. Now, the family's investigator regularly updated law enforcement on his investigation. He sent them everything he found. He sent them witnesses to interview. He sent them interviews he did of the witnesses first. You're going to hear this very same private investigator took Eric's computer before the police got it and had it for a long time in his possession, looking through all of Eric's computer. You're also going to hear Eric's family went and hired experts. They hired experts in toxicology, in finances, in handwriting analysis, paid them all a bunch of money. And now those same people that the family hired are going to appear here as witnesses for the state to testify against Kouri. You're going to hear that the family had constant communications with the prosecution team right up until they decided to charge Kouri a year later. Now, as you've already heard from this prosecutor, they're going to spend weeks in this trial trying to convince you that Kouri had reasons to kill her husband because they can't show you that she did kill her husband. You're not going to hear a single one of Eric's family, Kouri's investors, Kouri's friends, her lover, her accountant, her broker, her lawyer, her marriage counselor, her accountants, her husband's friends, her husband's coworkers. Not one of those people is ever going to be able to tell you what happened in those 6 hours. Not one of them. You're going to hear me ask each one of them in this trial, do you know whether or not Eric Richins knowingly ingested fentanyl? Do you know whether he accidentally ingested fentanyl thinking he was taking another kind of pill and it had fentanyl in it? And he took it and accidentally ingested it. Do you know whether he mixed fentanyl with alcohol after Kouri went to sleep? The answer every single time from every single one of these witnesses is going to be no. Now here's what you will hear. You will hear that Eric suffered from pain a lot. That he suffered from knee and back pain related to his work, hard work. He was a stonemason, lifting heavy stones, and he also was a huge outdoorsman. He was hiking, snowmobiling, skiing, hunting, and he had pain in his back and his knees from that kind of activity. He also had been diagnosed with Lyme disease. He believed he had it, and he claimed to people that were very close to him that he suffered with intense bouts of pain that he believed was related to Lyme disease. But this is a man's man, this guy. He's a hunter. He's a macho guy, right? He didn't want to show weakness. He didn't want people to know he was suffering. He didn't share that with a lot of people. You're going to hear that Eric was so dependent on the drugs like the gummies that gave him relief from his pain that he would even take it and smuggle it in his luggage when he went on trips out of the country and out of the continental United States when you got to go through TSA. That's how much he needed that relief. Now you're going to hear on one of the calls that they were recording when Kouri was talking to her family, she tells her family that she purchased pain pills for Eric at his request. She purchased them from a woman named Carmen that she knew who cleaned her properties for her. And she knew Carmen had access to people that had drugs. You will hear that she asked Carmen to get oxycodone. Oxycodone, which is very similar to the hydrocodone that you saw in that pill bottle right there.
Your Honors, apologize. May we approach?
All right. Can you guys hear me? I hear it's too loud. I don't know. I'm frustrated, but she's not convincing me at all. I thought the prosecutor was fantastic. I absolutely loved what the prosecutor did by emphasizing small bits and then pausing. It was great. I was going to tell you all about it, and then my computer crashed for a second time. Yeah, I try to add an extension. I can't get the court to turn up. I don't know if that's the new computer or what. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. I think I'll just close it down after this and call it a day. I just can't. Apparently, I don't have the high-tech internet service required to get this thing done. All right, does that match it better? I just turned it down a lot.
It's going to happen a lot over the next 5 weeks, so get ready. You're going to hear that oxycodone is a fairly low dose pain pill that you can get prescriptions for. Most prescriptions for oxycodone are around the range of about 10 milligrams per pill. That's about, if your doctor gives you oxycodone, that's about what you usually get it for.
Low dose?
If you want stronger oxycodone, like up to 30 milligrams.
Compared to
generally
fentanyl, maybe.
You either have to have a special prescription from a doctor, or you're going to hear that you can get it on the street, right? And the state has talked about this gentleman, Robert Crozier. Robert Crozier sold higher strength oxys, up to 30 milligrams. He's going to testify that back in 2022, before Eric died, that's all he sold was oxy. That he didn't sell fentanyl at that time. It hadn't really got into the country yet, like it is now, right, where it's everywhere. It hadn't really happened yet. He was just selling oxys, and he sold this stronger dose. So you're going to hear and you're going to see evidence that Kouri asked Carmen for something stronger, and that Carmen, you're going to hear from Mr. Crozier, purchased 30 milligram oxys from Crozier. Crozier's going to say that is what he sold Carmen Lauber, was 30 milligram oxy pills.
God, this
You're
argument
also going to hear
sucks.
that in Eric's autopsy, there's no oxy in his system. So the pills that were purchased by Carmen Lauber could not have been the cause of Eric's death. The fentanyl had to come from somewhere else.
Nonsense. Oh my God.
You're going to hear Carmen testify now that Kouri asked her for fentanyl. But what you're going to hear is that that was not Carmen's original story. That when Carmen was originally interviewed, she said no mention of fentanyl. It was all about oxy. There was no fentanyl. Carmen talks like she doesn't even know what fentanyl is, right? Guess when she changes her testimony? She changes her testimony when the police say, hey, you know what? We caught you. We caught you with drugs. We caught you with guns. And if you don't say what we want you to say, you're going to jail for a really, really long time, federal and state. But we're going to give you a ticket. We're going to give you a free ticket to get out of all the trouble you're in. But you got to say Kouri said fentanyl, and she changes her story. You're going to get to evaluate her credibility and what you think of her. You're going to hear that just a few weeks before Eric died, guess where he was? Mexico. Guess where the fentanyl comes into this country from? Mexico. Now, after you've listened to all
So
the
why do you need to go to
evidence,
Mexico to get it?
after you've looked at all the exhibits, you're going to be asked to determine what happened in that 6 hours. Not the 3 years before, not the 2 years before, not the 1 year before. In those 6 hours, you're going to have to decide if Kouri Richins intentionally and knowingly poisoned secretly her husband, ending the life of the father of her kids, knowing that she was going to cause those little boys to feel pain every day for the rest of their life, for the loss of their father, and that she did it for money, and that she did it for money that was less than what she was about to make on one of her own deals.
You've got to be kidding me.
For way less than what Eric Richins would have earned over the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
She never earned any
Way
money.
less than you knew she was guaranteed to get because she knew about the existence of the trust. She knew there's no guarantee on the assets or the home.
She was an absolute failure. And the
Finally, you're
state's
going to be
show
asked
it.
to determine
This is so stupid.
whether or not the sandwich incident was an attempt to commit a murder. That's going to be an easy one for you. You're going to be asked to whether she lied to the life insurance companies. And I presume the state's going to argue that the lie was that she didn't cause his death. Because if you cause someone's death, you can't get the life insurance. So I guess that's what they're saying the fraud is. And then there's a little flyer that she got in the mail, that we've all gotten in the mail, that if you're a credit union member, about once or twice a year, you get this little thing in the mail that says, hey, we'll give you $100,000 free life insurance. Just sign here because we are so glad you're a credit union member. And so she signed that a little while before Eric died for $100,000. $100,000. That's Eric Richins made that in 2 months, right? 3 months. And they're saying she forged his name on that little flyer when she mailed it in. In order to prove that, they have to prove that Eric didn't allow her to do it. Now, I'm telling you right now, wives everywhere sign their husband's names on a lot of things. You've got to find that she did it without his knowledge, and I don't know how they're going to prove that. Now, there is one piece of good news as you evaluate this evidence and the facts in this case. There is some good news for you. There are going to be a lot of facts that we actually agree on, that we're not even going to challenge. We'll just be like, yeah, that happened. Hopefully that's going to help the case move a little faster for you guys. But interestingly, even though we're not going to dispute the facts, we sure are going to dispute what the facts mean. Sometimes you can look at the same facts and see two very different results. Let me show you what I mean.
Ma'am, are you a whore?
Put up slide 12.
Is it up on your screen, Katie? 1 second, please.
The judge has to give us the pass to get into the
This
screen.
happens from time to time. Okay. Brittany. Q, do me a favor. Disconnect from table 1. Plug back in. Okay, 1 moment.
There it is. So look at this picture of a young woman in a fur coat. See it? Now look again. You see a witch? Nose, mouth. There's going to be times in this case where the state is going to discuss facts with certain witnesses, and they're going to show you the witch. And I'm going to take those same facts and those same witnesses, and I'm going to show you a widow. At the end of the trial, if you can still see both faces, that's reasonable doubt. The judge has instructed you that the burden of proof in this case lies with this table. Katie, can you put up slide 13? Can you make it a little bigger, please? The law presumes the defendant is not guilty of the crime charge. She's innocent right now, and you have to accept that to do your job. The presumption persists unless the prosecution's evidence convinces you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. Katie, can you put up slide 14? This burden, this is a heavy burden for the state. We know that. And our Constitution gives them that burden. Our Constitution, that same Constitution, promises Kouri Richins a fair trial by a jury of her peers, and that's you, her fellow citizens, who took an oath to swear that you will stand between Kouri and the government and make them meet their duty before they can get through you. And they've got to meet it by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. more powerful than just more likely or not that she did it. It has to be firmly convincing you. There are very few things we know with absolute certainty. The criminal case doesn't require proof that overcomes every possible doubt. But if you think there is a real possibility that she is not guilty, you must give her the benefit of the doubt and find her not guilty. And that's the burden that's on your table. When you go back into that jury room, that's going to be on y'all's table. We're asking you to be courageous, to pay attention, to stand strong, and to hold the government to that burden that's on their table. Hold them to it. And at the end of this case, you will see Kouri Richins is innocent. She's counting on you to do your job. And the only proper verdict to return in this case, which we are going to ask you to return at the end of this case, is to find her not guilty on all charges. Thank you.
All right, let's let you stretch your legs, take a restroom break. All rise for the jury.
Yeah, that sucked. Like, I give her a break because she has a worse case. I think this woman is guilty as sin. I think the prosecution has a great case. But even within that context, grading on that curve, she looked unsure.
Have a seat. Mr. Bloodworth, anything on the record before we take a restroom break?
She did not sound like she believed herself.
No, Your Honor, maybe just a reminder to those that are subject to the exclusionary rule to, I guess, not return.
Let's have some clarity about that. I appreciate that.
So, Your Honor, just to let the family know, so DJ and Ronnie cannot sit in for the trial. Miss Doreen can. We will let you know when you need to step out. And any other family members, Lisa can stay for the trial, and any other people can stay because there's no other witnesses we expect.
And I want to make clear to DJ and Ronnie, the fact that you can't be in the courtroom is the functional equivalent of an order that you cannot listen to the testimony or talk to anybody about it. So you cannot watch the live stream. You can't read reports or listen to it. You are ordered to not be exposed to the testimony in this case.
Also, Your Honor, I failed to mention Bree Darden. I don't think she's planning on coming. She has a newborn. She's not going to be up here anyway, but just in case she thought about coming, Bree cannot sit in on the trial, okay? That's
All
it.
right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any clarification there, Mr. Bloodworth?
No, Your Honor, an additional issue, though. The jury oath. You referenced the jury oath. That was
They
not,
get two.
I was going to say, I haven't, right. Did we have the second one yet?
The second one is the one you heard. The first one is the one that was given to them before they were asked any questions by the jury team.
I understand, Your Honor. Thank you. That second one just didn't sound like the normal second one, so maybe I'm a little thrown.
Check with Ms. Shervanek. Let me know if you think there's any.
I got my whole team telling me that was the wrong one.
I pulled it out of their proposed jury instructions.
No. I think he's talking about what Brittany read to them.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Did
I
you
thought you
use
were
the one
talking about the
at the
jury
end?
instructions.
I think it's the same.
And listen to what she said.
Do each of you solemnly swear to truly try the issues pending between the plaintiff and the defendant and render a true and just verdict according to the evidence and the instructions of the court? What did you read?
It sounded to me like the witness. It was the witness.
They have numbers. You got to refer to it.
Oh, that's the one before there.
That is the wrong one.
That's the wrong one. That's okay. We can fix it.
We'll re-swear them.
Yeah, no problem.
Arguments aren't evidence anyway.
Good catch. No problem. That's the one they get before the word to hire. That's okay. I will fix it when they come back in. Thank you for the catch. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Nestor, Ms. Lewis, Mr. Ramos.
No, sir.
All right,
Nothing.
folks, let's say 10:35. Thank you for your patience.
All right, for the judge.
Court's in recess.
Oopsies. All right, so they read a jury instruction before the trial starts, and then they read a jury instruction at the end when they're about to deliberate. They apparently mixed one of those jury instructions and read the final instead of the one that's supposed to be right there. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with me here. Do we know who the first witness is? I mean, I just don't have any faith that this thing's going to stay up, although it might. I don't know. Maybe that computer's backing up. I don't know. This computer hasn't crashed yet, but the volume was really low. Although I did download an extension to raise the volume, and then it took me until the very end to figure out how to apply it to that tab. So frustrating. It's actually a good case, and then I've got technical problems the whole time. This is not a brown suit. It looks like it. It's gray. It's just the lighting. It's gray with pinstripes. I had to move over. I had to move one desk over to the other computer. But then it doesn't have whatever. It doesn't have all the same stuff. Anyways, interesting. It started out. I mean, like I'm not looking at this. I was wondering when I first saw this stuff, when I was first going through it, I thought, it's going to be hard to prove because her defense is going to be exactly what she's doing, which is saying, hey, he's a drug addict. He took something else. You can't prove that what I do.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the Kouri Richins trial with us. But I'll tell you what a lot of these trials remind me of, the ones that we cover? It reminds me that the world is very unpredictable. And I will tell you, having a great lawyer matters when life throws something at you.
Yeah, shut up. Anyway. I hate it when the stream I'm poaching tries to send in one of these knuckleheads. Oh, does that piss me off? He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I mean, look at this guy. In front of fake law books. Oh, no, it's an ad for Morgan & Morgan. Whatever. That's what it is. It's an ad for Morgan & Morgan. Oh, good times. I was wondering why that is. That didn't seem very law and crimey. Usually they suit up when they come on and blather on. But we don't need that in our day. Hell no, we don't need that in our day. All right. Let's juice this thing up. All right, I'll ride with this and see. And now I'm just curious, and now I'm just running the test to see if this thing stays up. Because I kind of like the trial. I just don't know if my freaking internet's going to hold out. But it is right now, so let's roll with it. I want to see what their first witness is. It'll also be fun to watch the judge backtrack. The judge is smooth. He's going to say, oops, I read the wrong instruction. Let me read you this one now. But we did have a request. I don't know why. Well, I guess she's just another psycho. But I had a request for tonsil twins. Another crazy white woman.
You lit a match in the tabloids, watch the fire spread fast. Two little lies in a cradle of glass. You painted halos on shadows, wrote lullabies for ghosts. But the elaborate scheme was conceived in your throat. You played your part like a movie queen, a silver screen line in a magazine dream. You said they were real, but their points spin. Whispers made flesh, you tonsil twins. Yeah, baby, bump it a pillow with it. Play it, pretend till the truth walked in. The spotlight fades and the lights grow dim. Now who's gonna hold your tonsil twins? Your script was a mouthful, too hard to conceal. You spat out your lines, but choked on the reveal. The truth was a burden you couldn't swallow low down, and the stain of your tail splashed on your gown. It's hard to keep your story straight when the paper trail shows no due date. You said they were real, but they're born in your spin. Echoes and rumors, your tonsil twins. You danced on the edge just to reel them in. Your whole defense started to spin. Now all that remains is a stain on your chin. Nobody's buying your tonsil twins.
Sent directly to me.
Detectives knocked on the door one more, woke you up where the lie was born. Your load of lies, now a sticky mess. Every word you spoke is a stain to dress. You said they were real, but they're born in your spin. The verdict comes down, you'll never win. Thirsty for fame and TV shows, you got left drinking from an empty hose. Now the truth's been shown and you're all alone, left all alone with your tonsil twins. Your tonsil twins. You're all alone with your tonsil twins. Attention, esteemed viewers. If you are hearing this message, it means that you are sadly witnessing a dark moment in the history of legal discourse. Yes, it's true. Law Talk with Mike is experiencing what we in the business call a plot hole-sized lull. This is, of course, due entirely to Mike's, let's say, ambitious approach to preparation. And by ambitious, I mean utterly devoid. Yes, the very fabric of our legal system, as represented by this live stream, has encountered a, shall we say, temporal anomaly. A glitch, a hiccup, a veritable vacuum of action. And who is to blame? Why none other than our esteemed yet woefully unprepared host, Mike. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack. This musical interlude is just gonna be a thing. We'll get back to the legal stuff eventually, probably. So to fill the gaping void where insightful legal analysis should be, and due to a lack of any ability to keep your attention, Mike has in his infinite wisdom decided to subject you to this sadistic expression. God help us all, please do not hold Mike accountable for this. Bless his heart, Mike didn't quite foresee these moments of dead air when he planned for this whole thing. He clearly has no idea what he's doing, so sit back, relax, and maybe grab a snack. This musical interlude is just gonna be a thing. We'll get back to the legal stuff eventually, probably.
It's Friday night. I'm in a mood. Definitely don't call me to bail you out, dude. I'm just not feeling it. I'm telling you straight. Oh, wait. Is this case great? I think I know this guy. He's back again. This is gonna be good times, my friend. Your Honor, I apologize for how I fled the scene. I just had to get out of the Thunderdome, if you know what I mean. I was in a little pain my first time in the court, but I'm back with my complaint of a very special sort. There's an infestation, Judge. It's truly hard to bear. There's a critter in my trailer and it's living under there. Is it a mole? Is it a rat? He just doesn't know, but it's bigger than a cat. Mike says, is this the guy? The beaver mole guy. He was crazy the first time. Oh my. A beaver infestation is no laughing matter, but this whole dang story just gets madder and madder. The court sent an inspector to check the holes and poop, but he was hired by Mr. Weasel and I'm in a feedback loop. He's my next door neighbor. He's not insured at all. He owns another trailer park. He really has the gall. It's a major conflict of interest. It's totally absurd. He's the burglar investigating himself. Take my word. Oh my God, Mike just can't breathe. A landlord inspector hired by Mr. Weasel. You won't believe. It's a good thing I didn't start cocktailing before this one. The beaver mole guy is just way too much fun. The judge says, where's the escrow? The rent for November. He says, oh, I just forgot. I didn't remember. But I got it, Judge. Don't worry. The money is secure, but the inspector's report is clearly perjury for sure. I was not prepared for this. Denial of reality. I'm talking point number 17 specifically. Is it a mole? Is it a rat? He just doesn't know, but it's bigger than a cat. Mike says, is this the guy? The beaver mole guy. He was crazy the first time. Oh my. A beaver infestation is no laughing matter, but this whole dang story just gets madder and madder. The judge said, hold on, son. I'm getting quite confused. We were talking giant beavers, now I feel a bit abused. He says, my trailer's closest to the woodline and the lake. That's where the big beaver-like thing gave me a shake. But the skirting's done. So now I know the deal. The baseboards are ground zero. That's what's real. This is one of my favorite cases. I'll say it before it's over. I might have to make a song about this beaver-loving rover. So, y'all behave yourself. Stay out of trouble. Don't get hurt. And for the love of God, don't call me. I'm on alert. Just take a damn Uber and leave me all alone with Mr. Weasel and the beaver from the Thunderdome.
Oh, good Lord, that was fantastic. One car, one sign, one pair of unzipped pants. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my Defendant cries, we're going federal. Judge Mike laughs, no big dummy and not a chance, not a nudge. Cite some nonsense, Fourth Amendment too, but this circus belongs to one man, Magoo.
Crashed into a mobile sign late at night, hair all wild, pants not tight. Cops roll in, not sure what's true. Is he drunk and cussed or just plain Magoo?
Mr. Magoo, oh, what did you do? my bad. Magoo in a gown, cheeks to the breeze, escapes like a bandit with surgical ease. We're back to 76, classic drunk trick, glove box fix. Drink after the crash, confuse the test, but come on folks, this is nonsense at best. Defense pipes up, he just had a drink. Nerves were shot, gave him time to think. With his robe half on, buying Colt 45 at a 7-Eleven run. Mr. Magoo, oh, what did you do? Bolted from the hospital, pants still askew, license gone, priors too. Jail feels like home, it's waiting for you. This thing's getting bound over. Smash sign, drunk driver, pants down, $0. Prosecutor sharp, Judge Simpson sly. They see through Magoo's every try. Blood draw missing, excuses thin, but Mike just laughs. It's a lock and win. DUI number 4, maybe fleeing too. Magoo's record is nothing new. He likes jail, it's true. That's where he belongs, old Magoo. Mr. Magoo, oh, what did you do? Crashed your car, pants down too. Drunk or dizzy, head or blue. Either way, the judge sees right through you. Hopefully they got the hamster back on the wheel.
Your Honor, I am not a human being. I am the legal representation of my given name. I am the sea, I am a boat, I am the government in God form papers, and the papers are the people, that is not me. Your Honor, as you can see, I do not consent. I do not consent. I do not consent. I do not consent. Your Honor, I am not the person in the video. The evidence is clearly faulty. It was tampered with. The person who you think is me has a different haircut. This is my birth certificate. The person is not me, as you can see. I do not consent. I do not consent. I do not consent. I do not consent. The case law of America says that if the person who represents me is the people who are not the papers. I am the boat, I am the boat, I am the boat. I do not consent. I do not consent. I do.
Subject to the pains and penalties of perjury. Please have a seat.
Thank you, sir. Please watch your step.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. May I ask you, it's sit wherever you're comfortable. It's easier to move the mic than it is the chair, candidly. So,
I kind of noticed that.
okay, go ahead.
What, sir, is your name?
Eugene F. Richins.
And do you spell your last name Richins?
Yes, I do.
Did you know Eric Richins?
Yes.
How did you know him?
Eric is my son.
Scott, can I get 842 Romeo?
Oh, this is rough.
Do you want to show it to him first and then publish?
Your Honor, I think if perhaps we could show it to everybody but the jury.
Done.
Sir, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
Who does it depict?
This is my son.
Is it an accurate depiction of him?
It is.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 842R.
No objection.
842R is admitted.
Can the court please publish it?
There we go.
Sir, how old was Eric when he died?
He was 39.
Do you know Kouri Richins?
I do.
How do you know her?
She was the wife of my son.
Do you see her here today?
I do.
Can you please point out where and describe her?
Right here with a black blazer on.
Did you raise Eric?
I did. And my wife also. Both of us did.
What, sir, was your wife's name?
Linda Carter Richins.
Were you actively involved with him as a child?
I was, very much so.
How so?
Well, as I was raised and as I tried to raise my children as families number one, so we did everything together as a family. Education was extremely important for us as a family, as was a strong work ethic, as was religion. So those were kind of my top priorities of how we raised our children.
And in raising your children, especially Eric, what kind of activities did you engage in?
Eric was very, very into the outdoors, very athletic young man. He was also a very, very good student, very smart young man. We did a lot of things. I have a cattle operation, a cattle ranch that he helped with constantly from the time all the kids were extremely young. In my opinion, that's what gave him the work ethic of what they have right now to be successful.
Were you also involved in his life as an adult?
I was.
How often would you see him?
See him or talk to him?
But both, actually, if you could take them in turn, please.
You bet. I'd see him at least once, twice, 3 times a week. I'd talk to him every day on the phone.
And where would you generally see him?
Ball games. One of the kids' ball games at the ranch. Basically all over the place.
What was Eric's personality?
Eric had a very, very fun-loving personality. He had a very likable personality. He loved people, and people loved him.
You mentioned that you raised him to have a strong work ethic, be grounded in family, and to do well in school. Did you see those qualities in him as an adult?
I did. I was very, very proud of him.
Did you get to interact with, or I guess observe Eric interact with his 3 boys?
I did, constantly.
Can you give us some examples, please?
Eric was their coach, but their father, but most important was their very, very best friend. He coached soccer. We both coached basketball. We both coached baseball with him. So we were constantly involved in all their activities.
Did he bring the boys to your ranch?
Constantly, yes. They were, the oldest one loves to rope. So that was his thing in life and liked to rope. And the other ones loved to just ride four-wheelers or whatever it may be.
Was Eric a good father?
Eric was an excellent father.
Were you and Eric working on any future plans together when he died?
We were. We were going to buy a cabin together up in the Uintas. And then, you know, believe it or not, I'm getting older and I would like to retire someday from ranching, and trying to put it into him and his other siblings' laps.
Did there come a time in the early morning of March the 4th, 2022, when you received a phone call about Eric?
I did, yes.
Who called you?
Kouri did.
What did she tell you?
She said that Eric wasn't breathing.
Where, sir, were you when you received that call?
I was at my home.
Is that the ranch?
Yes,
Is it in Hennifer?
it is.
What did you do next?
I got over there as quickly as I could.
And by over there, do you mean Eric's house?
I did, yes.
And is that in Camas, Summit County?
Yes, Francis. Mhm.
Francis? Do you recall about what time you arrived at Eric's house?
I would say that 4:15, 4:30, right through that.
Who was there when you arrived?
My daughter, Katie, was there. Kouri was there. The first responders were there. Kouri's mother, Lisa, was there. My son-in-law, Clint, was there. And my two granddaughters were there, as the three boys were there.
About how long were you there that morning?
Oh, approximately to 10:30, I believe.
During that morning, what, if anything, did Kouri Richins say to you?
You know, I don't recall her saying much of anything to me.
Did she?
When I came in and my daughter, Katie, told me that Eric was gone, they helped me onto the couch, and I don't ever recall of even talking to Kouri, to be quite honest with you.
Did there come a time later when Kouri Richins told you what caused Eric's death?
There was. I can't tell you the exact date, but it was between Eric's funeral and when the medical examiner had declared what he had passed away of. And she called me and said that she had just talked to the medical examiner, and they had determined that he died of the same thing Linda did, and COVID.
And Linda was your wife, right?
Linda was my wife, yes.
What, sir, caused your wife's death?
She had an issue with fungus in her lungs.
What, if anything, struck you about Kouri Richins telling you that Eric died of the same thing that his mother did?
Well, right after I finished talking with Kouri, I called my daughter, Katie, who in turn called the medical examiner, and they had never received a call from Kouri.
Your Honor.
We're going to admit this answer only for the effect that it had upon Mr. Richins to explain what he did or didn't do next. You cannot consider it for the truth of what he's about to say.
Please, sir, continue.
Help me again.
Sure.
Where were we?
What, if anything, struck you about Kouri Richins telling you that Eric died of the same thing that Linda died of?
Well, as I said, I called my daughter, Katie. Katie in turn called the medical examiner, and they had never received a call from Kouri. They had not even released the results from it yet.
Renew the objection and move to strike, Your Honor.
Same instruction. That answer only explains what comes next in terms of what Gene did or didn't do. May I call you Gene? I'm so sorry.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Please.
Not for the truth of whether those things that he just described actually happened.
Sir, were you with your wife as she was battling the lung fungus?
I was.
Did Eric Richins suffer from the same symptoms that your wife did?
No, not at all.
Sir, I need to take care of some business now regarding some handwriting samples, okay?
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
It's the collection. Your Honor, I'm handing the witness Exhibit 8-49, which is a collection of handwriting exemplars. Mr. Richins, can you please turn to tab 14?
Okay.
Sir, do you recognize the documents at tab 14?
I do.
Are they labeled K14?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Are they receipts from Weller Recreation Center?
Yes,
Did you pick up those receipts from Weller Recreation Center?
I did.
Did you then hand those receipts to your daughter, Katie Richins Benson?
I'm sure I did. Yes.
Thank you. Can I retrieve that? Sir, I don't have any additional questions at this time, but the defense may, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Nestor, please proceed.
Sir, we're very sorry for your loss, and we have no questions for you at this time.
Yeah, good play. She was wise.
Taking that glass of water with you.
Might need another one.
There is nothing she could ask that man to help, and I give her credit for recognizing that.
Mr. Blood.
Your Honor, the state calls Katie Richins Benson.
Sweet father.
I think she's in the lobby. Is that correct?
I already did it. Maybe it's time to get rid of this suit.
Trial.
is crazy.
Ma'am, are you a whore?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the fees and penalties of perjury?
That might have not been the right one for the moment.
Feel free to move that chair wherever you're comfortable. You can also move the mic.
Okay.
There you go.
It
Thank
did.
Thank you.
you. Mr. Bloodworth, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
What is your name?
Katie Richins Benson.
And is your last name spelled RICHINS-BENSO?
You got it.
Okay. I'm going to stand here because I would like you to address the jury. I'm hoping that if I stand close to the jury, if you mistakenly shift to me, you're still addressing them. Do you know Eric Richins?
Yes, he was my brother.
Oh, man.
Did you grow up with him?
Yes, yes. We were only 2 years apart. So we were inseparable.
Oh,
What was your relationship like as you grew up together?
it's just sweet family.
So we did everything together. We went to school together. We worked on a ranch. So we have a family ranch that's been passed down for generations. We worked on the ranch together. We fished. We hiked. We did everything together.
How has that relationship continued into adulthood?
So my brother and I were very close. We talked constantly. We spent holidays together. We had our families together. So our kids are very close in age. We did lots of activities with our kids together. Like I said, we had them on the ranch all the time together. Talked on the phone almost daily.
What was Eric's personality like as an adult?
Eric was one of the most likable people. I'm sorry, guys. Okay.
There are tissues if you'd like.
Okay. So he was one of. Sorry, I'm trying so hard. He was one of the most likable people you've ever met. So Eric was the kind of person that loved everyone. It did not matter who you were, where you came from, where he met you. Everyone thought they were his best friend. If you talked to him, they all said, I'm Eric's best friend, because that's the way Eric made you feel. He was upbeat. He was positive. He literally would give a stranger he met on the side of the road his jacket, anything to help anyone out. That's the kind of person he was.
What did he like to do? How did he spend his time?
So the number one thing that Eric loved was his kids. So he would do anything for his boys. He was the best dad you would ever see. He was a phenomenal uncle. If there were kids involved, he was there. He would show up. So whether it be soccer games, so he coached my nephew's soccer. And he was the dad that coached, that went and got all the signs that were special. So he'd get there before the soccer games, put all the signs up so the kids had their team name everywhere. He also was adamant about making sure they learned how to work. So my parents were very focused on teaching us how to work, to have that strong work ethic. So he had his kids on the ranch, teaching them how to work. He loved the outdoors. He loved to play sports. Anything that revolved around his family, the outdoors, is what my brother loved.
Did he plan for his children's future?
Yes. So there's not a waking moment that my brother was not focused on his kids. So he had money set aside every single month to go into a fund so that by the time the kids got to college, they could pay for their college and hopefully have some left over for like a down payment on a house or something like that. He had every aspect planned. This is the kind of dad Eric was. So I told you we have a ranch. I love horses. My brother did too, but not quite as much as me. He liked ATVs a little bit better. So his oldest son, Carter, loved horses from the day he was born. He and I share that. So Eric tried to get Carter with me as much as possible on the horse because that's what Carter loved. I would ride the horse with my little nephew in front of me, and my brother would be to the side of me with an ATV with food, snacks, anything that Carter needed. He would have it right there so that Carter didn't have to get off the horse because he wanted Carter to be able to do whatever he wanted. And if Carter would fall asleep, which he would sometimes, Eric would take him into the side-by-side, hold him until he woke up, bring him right back up to me, put him back on the horse, and let him go the rest of the day.
Have you ever observed Eric sick or injured?
Yes. So my brother and I are very close. And so when he was an adult, he played sports all growing up. But when he was adult, he liked to play adult softball. He did get hit a few times. He got hit by a ball, and these games would go to like midnight, 1 o'clock. He would call me at 1 o'clock in the morning if he got hit to tell me my leg hurts. I don't know if something happened, if it is broken a little bit, if it's just bruised. And I would answer the phone no matter what time it was and say, hey, do you need me to come get you? What can I do to help you? And he'd be like, oh, I think I can toughen it out. I'll call you in the morning and let you know. But honestly, it didn't matter if he was in another country. He called me from other countries to tell me he didn't feel well. So if his mental or physical well-being was ever in question, he would call me.
Other than allergy medication, have you ever seen Eric use an over-the-counter drug?
The only thing I've ever seen him use is Advil.
Have you ever seen Eric use prescription drugs?
No.
Have you ever seen Eric use illicit drugs?
No. Growing up, my mom was a drug and alcohol counselor. She taught us the dangers of those and really ingrained that in us.
Were you and Eric working on any future plans when he died?
Yes. So we were planning a trip to Disneyland that year to take our kids. He has a child. His middle child, Ashton, is extraordinary in math. We were finding programs to get Ashton enrolled in that summer for coding so that we could kind of harness that math. He was only 7 at the time, but he's just outstanding. So we had just barely gone to the zoo together. We kind of just planned our lives together. We talked all the time.
Are you familiar with the home that Eric lived in when he died?
Yes, I owned it and I sold it to my brother.
Scott, if you can bring up 1-1, please, for Your Honor, for everybody but the jury. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
Is that the home that you sold to Eric and he lived in?
Yes.
Is it an accurate depiction of that home?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 1-1.
No objection.
1-1 is admitted. Bear with me. There you go.
Where, Ms. Richins and Benson, is that home located?
That is in Francis, Utah.
And is it, it looks like it's on a cul-de-sac. Is it on a cul-de-sac?
Correct. It's on a cul-de-sac.
When did you sell him the home?
In the latter part of 2012.
Had you been to the home regularly between then and when Eric died?
Yes.
Do you know how many homes are on that cul-de-sac today?
So on that cul-de-sac, there's 7 homes with driveways that go into that road and cul-de-sac.
And do you know how many homes and roads were on, homes and driveways were on that cul-de-sac in 2019?
Yeah, all the homes were built out by 2016.
Thanks, Scott. Scott, can you bring up 4-1? Can you scroll through it, please? Ma'am, do you recognize that document?
Yes, this is my brother's prenuptial agreement with Kouri.
And how do you recognize it?
I saw it the day they signed it. So on the day of his wedding is when they both signed it, and I read through it with him on the day of his wedding.
Your Honor, state moves to admit 4-1.
No objection.
401's admitted.
I'm going to leave it up there just for a minute for the jury, but I'm going to come back to that with them later. I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott. I would like to turn now to the morning that Eric died. Did there come a time in the early morning of March 4th, 2022, that you received a phone call about Eric?
Yes, it was early in the morning.
Who called you?
My dad did.
What did he say?
This is not easy. He was screaming and crying and said, Eric's not breathing, Eric's not breathing.
Where were you when you received that call?
So my daughter was sick. She was only 3 at the time. She had just thrown up. I had taken her out of her room and brought her into my room. And I had just set her on the bed, and my husband had gone into the room to check on my other daughter that was a little bit older to make sure she was okay. I just set her on the bed, and I had my phone with me. I set it on the bed, and I saw my dad calling. And I picked up and said, Dad, how did you know I was up with my sick little girl? And he started, whew, that's when he said, Eric's not breathing, Eric's not breathing. I screamed. I fell to the floor. My husband heard me and came running in, and I was screaming, he's not breathing. My husband thought that it was my daughter since she had just thrown up. So he ran over to her and said, she's okay, Katie, she's okay. And I said, no, it's Eric. And so I picked up my daughter that was right there. My husband went and got my other baby out of bed, and we ran out of the house.
Did you go to Eric's house?
Yeah, we went straight to my brother's house.
Who was there when you arrived?
Sorry, guys. This was the worst day of my life. Sorry. When I got there was a bunch of emergency personnel, police officers, and Kouri and her mom, Lisa, were there.
Did you see the boys?
That was one of the first things I did was try to find my nephews. They were in Ashton's room. I don't know how to orient you guys to the house. So as you walk in, Carter's room was to the right, and then you walk down a hall, and Ashton's room was the first room on the left. Then it was Weston's room, then a bathroom, and then my brother's room. So the boys were located in Ashton's room. So there were police everywhere. There was EMS. I didn't know everything that was going on, but I didn't want the boys right there where everyone was. There's police right outside their door. So I went and got them and took them upstairs. So in my brother's house, you go up some stairs and over the garage, there's a bonus room. And they had everything in there. They had a TV, a Nintendo, all their toys in there. So I took them up there because I didn't want them by all the hustle and bustle of all the police and everything. So I took them up there, got them situated, then ran outside to my car to get my husband and my 2 daughters so that my husband could watch the boys and make sure that they were okay.
We'll talk more about the boys that day.
Okay.
Were you able to observe Kouri Richins that morning?
Yes, I did.
When you walked into the home, what were your immediate observations of her?
So like I had told you, we had gone on plenty of family vacations together. Kouri had been on the family vacations with us. I walked in, I kind of flung through the door, and I saw Kouri standing on the other side of the staircase. She just shook her head at me. Sorry, guys, bear with me. I apologize. And I knew right then my brother was gone. And I fell to the floor. She stayed over there. I observed that she was not how she normally was when we would go on overnights. She was very well put together. She had a matching pajama-esque outfit on. Her hair was all done up. She wasn't crying like I was. She wasn't hysterical. Just stood there and shook her head no at me.
What, if anything, did you observe about Kouri Richins' interactions that morning with her boys?
There weren't any until later in the morning. So, like I told you, my husband stayed up with the boys. I went up and down. My sister came up and down. A few people came up and down to check on the boys. I did not see her go up and check on the boys. And I repeatedly asked her, when can we tell the boys? I think we need to tell the boys. I kept coming down saying, I think the boys need to know. It wasn't until they wheeled my brother's body out and I stood by the stairs at the top of the stairs to make sure my nephews didn't come out to see because we didn't want it to see. And my husband was in the room with them. So they wheeled my brother's body out. My husband did his best. My daughter was throwing up and he was trying to block it from the boys so that they didn't see my brother being wheeled out. The boys did see my brother being wheeled out. My husband came out and told me that they were upset. And so we walked down and talked to Lisa, Kouri's mom, and Kouri again. And I said, the boys are really upset. They just saw Eric wheeled out. I think we need to tell them. And Lisa said, I guess we better. And Kouri said, yep, bring them down. So then we brought him down. And that's the first I saw her interact with him.
Were you there when Kouri Richins told her sons that their father had died?
Yes. So my husband and I brought the kids down. We're sitting on a couch, and in my brother's living room, they have a couch that kind of goes like this, like kind of curves around. So my husband was sitting on the edge with our daughters. I was sitting next to them. Weston, my brother's youngest, that was 5 at the time, was sitting in between me and Kouri. Kouri was on the other side, and then the other 2 boys were in front of us.
What did she say?
She let them know that their dad would not be coming back, that he was gone.
Just like that?
Yes, to my recollection.
Did there come a time shortly after that when she spoke alone with her middle son, Ashton?
Yeah, so right after she told the kids, Ashton got upset and went to his room. So his room was that room that they had been in. I went and checked on Ashton multiple times, and I remember him on his bed. He was on his bed with his covers pulled up, and I sat on the bed and I tried to console him, but he wanted his mom. I tried so hard to console him, but he wanted his mom. So I came out and told Kouri that Ashton was very upset and I thought she should go in. Took me a couple times of coming out to tell her. And I finally came out and I said, Kouri, I'm not his mom. I'm not his dad. He just lost his dad. He's very upset. I cannot console him. Can you please come in and talk to him? So she came into the room to talk to him. He got out of bed and ran to her. So they met kind of in the middle of the room. They held on to each other and then sat down on the floor. And I sat right next to him.
What did they discuss?
She was just consoling him. So just trying to get him to calm down. Right, that with Ashton, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What did they discuss? She was just trying to console him.
Did they discuss Eric's Apple Watch?
They discussed Eric's Apple Watch later.
Okay, so we'll get to that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Did there come a time when Kouri Richins was consoling Ashton there and she was interrupted?
Yes. So Brienne Sorenson, which I believe was Ronnie, Kouri's brother's fiance at the time. I think they were engaged at the time. She came in to talk to Kouri. It was really interesting because Kouri was consoling, and then she immediately kind of stopped and focused on, they would call her Bree. And Bree started talking about the closing of the Midway Mansion.
Do we need to go into that, Mr. Bloodworth? I guess what I'm saying is anything further regarding that necessary to develop the upcoming testimony?
Your Honor, the state's next question will be, how did Kouri react?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sustained. What Bree said is not admissible. Don't consider it.
Well, Your Honor, the content of the call, the content of the discussion.
Well, Kouri's side of it is not what they're objecting to. I think it's just that fact. Am I right, Ms. Nestor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're objecting to what Bree said.
Take it from there. I understand the contours here. Let's just wait for the next question.
Okay. How did Kouri react to what Bree said?
Kouri was very businesslike, very telling Bree exactly what to do, and I was dumbfounded. And I looked at Kouri and said, "You can't tell me you're going to close on that Midway Mansion when my brother just died." And she looked at me matter of fact and said, "Yeah, absolutely. He has nothing to do with it. The money's already gone through. It's all my business. I'm going to."
What about the Apple Watch?
So the Apple Watch, Ashton, once he eventually came out of his room, he went and got my brother's Apple Watch. Kouri was standing by him. She took it from him and he said, "I want my dad's watch." So I watched her take the watch, delete the entire watch, everything off of it, and then give it back to Ashton.
On the morning that Eric died, did Kouri Richins say
Sure.
anything about the house?
Disgusting.
Yes, she told me, so the house, the 282 Willow Court that they were living in with their kids, she told me she was going to sell it.
Did anything about that strike you as odd?
Yes, I honestly could not function. I couldn't even figure out like what was for dinner that night. I had just lost one of the most important people in my whole entire life. And she was planning on selling the house that he had just been wheeled out of, closing on a multi-million-dollar mansion. I could not wrap my head around it.
The point that Eric died, who did the house belong to?
When Eric died, the house belonged to Eric. Eric was the trustee of his trust. So the house was in a trust and Eric was the trustee.
And then once he died, who became the trustee?
I became the trustee.
After Eric died,
Thank God.
did Kouri Richins have the ability to sell the house?
No, she did not.
That morning, did Kouri Richins say anything about Eric's stonemasonry business?
Yes. She had a plan for how she was going to run his stonemasonry business. She was going to hire one of his best friends. His name is TJ. TJ worked for Eric's business partner's dad and had grown up working with Eric and Eric's business partner, Cody, and Cody's family in their family business. And he still worked with Cody's dad, Shannon. So she said that she was going to hire TJ to run Eric's portion of the business for her and that he would take care of all of it.
So am I right that the morning of Eric's death, Kouri Richins told you her plans on purchasing the Midway Mansion, selling the home she lived in, and running Eric Richins' business?
Correct.
Do you recall a family meeting that was held on March the 5th, 2022, the day after Eric died?
Yes, I do.
What was the purpose of that meeting?
It was to start preparing for the services for Eric.
And who participated in the meeting?
So myself, my husband, Clint, my sister was there, Amy, her husband, Andrew, my dad, Gene, his friend, Tisha, Corey's brother, Ronald Darden, or Ronnie, as they call him, her half-brother, DJ, her, I believe Bree was there as well, his fiance, and then her mother, Lisa.
Did you know Eric's wishes regarding burial
Yes, my brother wanted to be buried.
as opposed to cremation?
Yes, my family is very big on burial and not cremation.
Did in the course of that family meeting, the topic of cremation arise?
Yes, so we had gone through and planned the whole funeral. My brother would be buried by my mom, who the where he would be buried at, who the pallbearers would be, everything to like who would talk, who would say prayers, stuff like that. And at the very end, when I thought we kind of had it all wrapped up, Lisa Darden, Corey's mother, said, when are we going to talk about that Eric wanted to be cremated?
Did you observe Kouri react to her mother raising cremation?
Yes, I did. She looked shocked, like she was caught off guard at first. And then she went into it and said, oh yeah, he told me that he didn't want any bugs crawling on him after he was dead. It freaked him out. So we're cremating him. And I went on to ask, I said, Kouri, why did we just do a whole entire funeral based around the casket, the burial, the pallbearers, sorry, excuse me. And now you're just bringing up cremation. And she played it off and said, oh, well, isn't that what you do when you cremate them? And to that point, I said no. And then my dad started getting visibly upset because he knew his son wanted to be buried.
I need to take care of some business with handwriting samples now, okay?
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Of course.
I'm heading to witness 8-49. Ms. Richins Benson, are you familiar with that exhibit?
Yes, I am.
Generally, what is it?
So these are all handwriting samples from my brother, whether it be when he signed his name for stuff at work or for his will, any of that stuff.
Can you please just thumb through each of the tabs? I think, is there 14 of them?
16.
16?
Do I have to pay super close attention or am I okay?
No, I just want to make sure you know what they are.
Okay.
You've seen them before?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, if you're comfortable that you've seen them before, there's no need to slip.
Yeah.
For K1, did you get those documents from the lender on the 282 Willow Creek Road property?
Correct.
And are they accurate copies of what you received from the lender?
Yes.
Did you then submit those to the Bennett Tueller law firm?
Correct.
On K2, did you receive those haircut receipts from Kouri Richins?
Yep. So they are also receipts from like Wasatch Steel, different. I know there is a haircut one in here, but yeah,
Okay,
they're
did
all
you
different
receive those
receipts.
receipts
Yeah.
from Kouri Richins?
Yeah.
Did you provide them to Bennett Tueller?
Yes, I did.
Can you turn please to K3 or tab 3? Under that tab, did you receive some tax documents from Greg White, some payroll documents from Integrated Solutions, and a hunting license?
Yes, these are all my brother's documents.
And did you submit those under tab 3 to Bennett Tueller?
Only one I'm not 100% sure about is the hunting license, if I submitted that or not. I can't remember that one.
Okay. On K4, did you receive the check there from Allison, right?
Correct.
And did you get the loan documents on K4 from the lender on the 282 Willow Creek Road property?
Yes.
Did you submit those documents to tab 4 to Bennett Tueller?
Yes.
Tab 5, did you retrieve that driver's license from the mortuary that Eric's body was taken to?
Yes.
Did you submit that to Bennett Tueller?
Yes.
For tab 7, skipping 6, going to 7, did you receive those various construction contracts from Kouri Richins?
Yes.
And then did you give them to Bennett Tueller?
Correct.
For K11, did you obtain those healthcare records from IHC? Was
Yes.
that Intermountain Health something?
Yeah, Intermountain Healthcare.
Got it.
IHC's their old branding.
Did you submit those to Bennett Tueller?
Yes, I did.
For K12, did you receive copies of those checks and C&E business records from Allison Wright?
Yes.
And did you give them to Bennett Tueller?
Yes, I did.
For K13, there's some materials from a Ford dealership. Did you receive those from your husband, Clint Benson?
Yes.
And did you submit those to Bennett Tueller?
Yes.
Finally, for K14, is that a document from Weller Recreation Center that you received from your father?
Yes.
And did you give that to Bennett Tueller?
Yes, I did.
And did you give everything to Bennett Tueller in the same identical condition that you received it in?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, I don't have any further questions from you at the moment.
Okay.
The defense attorneys probably will, okay? Thank you.
Your Honor, this is going to be a fairly lengthy cross. It's going to go past noon. I don't know if you want to break now or if you want me to just plow it and then we'll break in the middle.
Will you approach for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Well, this has just been painful. Sweet family. Sweet sister, sweet dad.
Folks, let's let you stretch your legs. We're going to come up with a plan here about what to do about the lunch hour. I just need a few minutes to figure it out. Okay. Please rise for the jury. Tracy, you hand me that call for a minute. Would you like some more oil?
Yeah, thank you very much.
You might be filling that. We're going to get a carafe for future witnesses, I promise. Okay, let's have a discussion about how to handle witnesses that are on both the state's list and the defendant's list.
Yes.
Ms. Nestor, what is the defendant's request?
So here's our request. There are probably,
Your Honor, can I pause? Can we excuse the witness?
yeah, that's fine with me. She can
That
sit.
would make sense, yeah. Do you, and is that so that she doesn't hear this discussion?
Correct.
Yeah. Do you mind stepping out into the lobby for a minute?
Yeah, Shirley, Sue?
You can take it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's your cup. Ms. Nestor, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I knew this was coming because of conversations we've had with witnesses, but there are multiple witnesses that the state is going to call, including Ms. Richins Benson, who also have information that relates to our case. She's just one, there's lots more. Obviously, if the state is going to shut us down from asking any topic that he didn't cover in direct, then we're going to have to recall all of these people. And this trial is
Oh
going to
my
get a
God.
lot longer, inconvenience a lot more people,
Well, it's the exact same amount of time. Tell me why it would be longer. It
because
just complicates the directed verdict motion.
because of the fact that all of these witnesses will be required to come back twice, get
They
resworn.
don't
We're
care.
going to have to lay foundation again that's already been laid to refresh the memory of jurors. We're going to have to go back over topics that have already been talked about just to refresh the memory of the jurors. We're going to be using exhibits that are already here, keyed up, ready to go. This court has the ability to control what happens in this courtroom. If you want us to call all these people twice, we will, but it seems a ridiculous imposition of burden on not only the witnesses, but the jurors to have to say, we're going to hear from them now and in 2 weeks from now. There's perfectly within your power to say, we're going to do everything this jury needs to do now. The state has the ability to come back on redirect and address anything that we bring up that they didn't bring up. But it seems a very inefficient way to run a trial. And it seems to be super hard on these witnesses to have to come back here twice and go through this 2 weeks apart. And especially what happens if something happens to them? What happens if she gets sick or she leaves the country and I'm stuck and I didn't get a chance to redo her? Then we've got a real problem in terms of the trial and the record. So, I mean, I've just never had a judge require me to do that unless it's just really unusual circumstances. So we're asking that every witness where we have information that the state decides not to go into, to let us do it now, not have to recall this witness, and then finally excuse her from her subpoena responsibilities.
You understand that to the extent the state raises relevance objections to your direct of this witness or another, I'm only going to have what's in the record so far. I won't have the whole picture to rule on that relevance objection.
I am not worried about anything we're going to talk with her about being decided to be relevant. Okay. I mean, it's clearly relevant. I'm just not worried about that.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we're only talking to her about what happened with Eric, with this case, we're not going into anything outside of that.
This is nuts.
Mr. Bloodworth.
Your Honor, the state prefers to present its case.
Yes.
In order that the state believes will provide a proper narrative to the jury.
Yes.
Without interruption.
Yes.
Sometimes a proper way to present a case is not most efficient way to present a case. And in an aggravated murder case, propriety has to take precedence over efficiency.
Yes.
So far, all these witnesses are local. I could see perhaps if there's an out-of-town witness, rather than inconveniencing the witness with an extended stay or repeated travel, we could make an exception. But as the rule, this trial is no different than any other trial.
This is really the prosecutor's call, not the judge's.
The scope of cross-examination is limited by the scope of direct.
Yes. I'm not waiving scope objections.
Ms. Nestor, we'll take this on a witness-by-witness basis. With respect to Ms. Richins-Benson, I imagine she's going to be in the courtroom every single day. And if she's not, she's certainly subject to the subpoena power of the court. And has somebody subpoenaed her so she can't beg out of appearing?
I mean, Katie appeared today pursuant to the state's subpoena.
Okay. And that subpoena lists the entire trial, correct?
It does. I have not yet released her from it, as we do some witnesses.
Right. And so as long as I make clear to her that pursuant to that subpoena, she can be recalled at the order of the court, any danger that you were describing, Ms. Nestor, is mitigated.
It also means she can't stay in the trial for the rest. She's going to have to be excused under the exclusionary rule.
Is it Katie or Amy that's the designated victim rep?
Amy.
Your Honor, the state had designated 2 victim reps, and it was Katie and Amy.
I understand you objecting to the 2.
We do. We object to 2. We don't object to Amy.
Right.
Right.
The state has to make a choice. If you'd like to proceed as you suggest, you're entitled to do so. That's fine, especially because Katie is subject to the subpoena power of the court. We can make sure that she comes back. But the statute talks in terms of 1 victim rep. The exclusionary rule says what it says. So the decision before the state is, do you want to, for this witness, allow direct to occur today so that there's no basis upon which to exclude Katie going forward? Or proceed with the presentation of the testimony as the state sees fit, understanding that may require exclusion of Katie. And I apologize for using first names. There's a lot of Richins. It's just easier. No informality is intended. Exclusion of Katie until her direct is completed in the defense case.
Your Honor, how about this? Was the court about to take a lunch break with the jury?
Well, is food here?
No.
Okay, so it'll be a bit. So I want to keep using time. So I thought we could use another, it would have been an hour now, 45 minutes.
Sure, Your Honor. Can we use that time for examination within the scope of direct? And then we take a lunch break. It will allow me to consult with Eric's family regarding.
He doesn't know how long it'll take.
Exclusion. It will also allow me, Your Honor, to refresh my memory. We had at the time, the state had appointed 2 victim representatives. Despite the language of the statute, we had briefed case law which expanded that language. And I just need to look back at that.
Yeah, I'm happy to be educated. But Ms. Nestor, may we proceed stepwise in that fashion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, we'll invite Katie back in, we'll invite the jury back in, we will complete cross-examination of Ms. Richins Benson. We'll take a lunch break, we'll sort out whether you want to proceed with her, whether I will allow you to proceed with her direct examination in your defense case today.
Also, just to make sure I'm clear, so Mr. Bloodworth brought up to Ms. Richins Benson the fact that she was the trustee. She testified about that, about the trustee and the assets being in the trustee, and that Kouri could not sell the home according to her.
That was her understanding, right?
Correct. So that means I can go into anything about the trust?
Well, it means you can ask her, you can seek to show that her understanding was incorrect.
Well, I have a pretty lengthy cross dealing with the trust, and I want to bring in the actual trust itself, the document, and I do believe the door's been open, so I'm just clarifying I can go into all that as part of following up on what he brought out in direct.
Well, you gotta be a little bit more. Oh, hold on. My apologies. Missed call. My bad. You're speaking in generalities, so it's hard for me to give you a ruling.
So one of the documents I want to use is the trust document itself.
Sure.
The state has not introduced it,
do
but
it.
they have opened the door to it, in my opinion.
Well, they've
Then
opened the
do
door to
it.
questions about what is your understanding
And wait
based
for the
on
objection.
why do you think that?
Perfect. That's what I
Have
need.
you ever seen this document?
That's what I need.
But the trust is, to my memory, several pages long. I don't know that her testimony relates to most of it.
I probably won't even admit it. I'm just going to use it for her to look at it to refresh, and when she's answering questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, just to be clear, that within the scope of Kouri Richins' ability to dispose of the home.
Yeah, more specifically, Ms. Richins Benson's personal subjective understanding of
Correct.
Kouri Richins' ability to dispose of the home.
And not all the myriad of other
Yeah,
subject
like there's all the
matters.
isn't the trust going to all the C&E masonry interest and all that stuff?
It does, Your Honor.
Yeah. She didn't testify to any of that. Okay. All right.
Well, I assume they'll object and let me know if they think I go too far.
As both sides
Yes.
of the V do in trial. Anything further before we invite Ms. Richins Benson back in?
No, sir.
Mr. Bloodworth?
No, sir.
Let's do that first.
Oh, good Lord. Do you want me to bore you with an explanation of that, or do you guys follow all that stuff?
You just guess it.
Okay, so obviously she wanted to go beyond the scope of direct examination to get all the testimony in that she did. The prosecutor says, no, that's going to disrupt the flow of our case, which he's absolutely correct. And she said, just to be nasty, she said, okay, fine, then I want her excluded from the rest of the trial because I might recall her. which she might, and that's actually appropriate. The next layer was they tried to name 2 personal representatives. You only get to name
Let's
one.
begin the witness stand again. And then if you just stand with us, let's invite the jury in, please.
But the judge really doesn't, I don't think, have discretion there. If the prosecutor says, no, I'm going to object to going beyond the scope of direct, that's a proper objection. And if they do, then he's got to rule in their favor. In many, many trials, I agree with opposing counsel to go beyond the scope of direct so that we can get rid of the witnesses, but not murder cases like this. In a case this complicated, I would say, hell no. I want to put, just like the prosecutor, I want to put on my whole case and then let her put on her defense separately. I don't want them screwing up my momentum in the middle of my case.
We'll proceed with cross-examination of Ms. Richins Benson. Then we'll take a lunch break. Thank you for your patience. Ms. Nestor, take it away.
May it please the court. Good morning.
Good morning.
We've never officially been introduced, but I know we've seen each other a whole lot. But again, my name's Kathy Nestor, and I'm one of Kouri's attorneys. So I want to talk to you about, I want to go back a couple of years before Eric passed. You mentioned in your direct testimony that you are the trustee of a trust that Eric created. Is that right?
Correct.
And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Of course.
Personal rep sort of stands in for the defendant because the defendant's deceased and he would not be made to leave because he's a party to the action.
That's been marked as
Since he's not there, they can name another one, but not 2.
KRB1.
Okay.
Take your just a second and look at that document and tell me if you recognize it. I certainly don't expect you to read the whole thing, but just tell me if you know what that is.
Sorry, I just want to make sure.
Sure, no worries. Take your time.
This is not going to go well. This is not the witness to mess with. Dad or sister are not the witnesses to mess with. Shut up and let them get through it. Hope the jury forgets it.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
So do you recognize that document?
Yes.
What is that document?
It's the Eric Richins Living Trust.
And is that the trust that you were referring to in your direct examination?
When
Mr. Bloodworth was questioning you?
With the house. Yes. This is the trust.
And that's the document that makes you the trustee if Eric should pass away.
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, at this point, I'd like to introduce this as Defense Exhibit 3001. On the impeachment, we're going to start it with the number 3.
Mr. Bloodworth.
Your Honor, no objections to the admission of the document. The state, of course, is going to admit it, had planned to admit it through the witness that prepared it. The state's just pausing on the nomenclature. We've referenced this document in other briefings by other exhibit numbers, which
We can resolve that going forward. We can come up with a common vernacular at some point.
right.
Okay.
Okay, but as to admission, no objection.
So just so the record is clear, if anybody ever has to read this, the Eric Richins Living Trust dated November 3rd, 2020 is admitted.
All right. And that's going to be Exhibit 3001, Your
For
Honor.
the time being.
Yes.
We'll see if we come
Change
up with
it.
a different vernacular going forward.
That's fine. Okay. Can you turn for me to section 1.03 of the trust?
Ms. Nestor, will you let me know when you're ready to publish whatever you want to publish? To the
I will,
jury?
thank you.
Thank you.
Do you see that? Does that list the objectives of the trust? Just to refresh your memory, let me know when you're finished reviewing it.
Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. What
That
was your
refresh
question
your
again?
memory a little
Yeah.
bit. So is it fair to say that Eric's objective, as put in writing in the very beginning of this big old trust document, was to provide for both my wife and our children during any time I am incapacitated and after my death?
That's what's in there. Yes.
So it's
I'm sorry. Can we publish this to the jury? We're
Sure.
seeing it on our screens, but the jury's not.
Yeah, she didn't ask
Can
me
you
to. That's fine.
publish?
Would you like to?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. That would be helpful. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right. And you agree that it was your understanding that this trust would provide for both Kouri and the boys. Is that
Yeah.
right?
It would provide for the beneficiaries, and those four are the beneficiaries.
And Kouri was a beneficiary of this trust.
She was a beneficiary of the trust.
And that's what Eric wanted.
I think the document
Your
speaks
Honor,
for itself.
objection.
Yeah.
I'll withdraw, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay, so basically there was as trustee, what is your understanding of your role as trustee? What is your role?
It's to administer the trust.
And what does that mean to you?
So to carry out my brother's wishes.
And with respect to the reality of that, there's a trust that holds assets. Is that your understanding? It holds his assets, whatever they are.
Correct.
And that includes cash and money and items, right?
Yes.
And you're supposed to see over that money and those assets
Correct, as the trustee.
and protect them, right?
Correct.
And distribute them to the beneficiaries as needed throughout their lifetime.
Based on what the trust says.
And that's your understanding of kind of your job, right?
Correct.
And as trustee, you get paid.
No.
You aren't taking a fee.
So my brother did put in the trust that I could be paid and I could reimburse myself for the time spent. I have never once been paid for the time that I spent. So I chose not to.
That's very generous of you. And that's because you want those boys to get everything they can, I'm sure.
I want all the beneficiaries to get everything they're entitled to.
Okay, thank you. So let's say 2 months after Eric died, Kouri wanted to buy a car. She could do that, but she would have to ask you first, right? As the trustee.
Can you reframe that? So with money from the trust,
Yes.
she wants to buy the car?
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of litigation. So she did a lawsuit 3 weeks after my brother passed to try to set aside the trust.
Okay.
So there's a lot of litigation. So I would work with my attorneys to figure out what was proper.
Let me ask it this way. What is your understanding of what, if there was no litigation, what you as the trustee of the trust were meant to do if one of the beneficiaries needed some money, if one of the boys wanted to go to private school, if Kouri wanted to buy a car? What was the process from your understanding?
So the trust was actually to split into 2 separate trusts. One for his 3 boys, who are the primary beneficiaries, and then another trust for Kouri. And you'll have to forgive me, I don't have the whole thing memorized.
Oh, of course not.
But it said in there what the money could be used for.
All right. So if Kouri wanted to spend some money out of the trust that was authorized in your opinion under the trust, it would be your job to say, yes, here is the money, and give her a check, right?
Correct.
And one of the things the trust authorized was care and maintenance of their home. Is that right?
So that the home is a trust asset.
Okay. So if the house needed repair, the trust could pay for that.
Correct.
If the trust could pay for the mortgage payments,
Correct.
the trust could pay for insurance on the house.
Correct.
So in the year after Eric died, how much money did Kouri ask you for to pay for anything related to the house, to her, to anything?
Pause for 1 second.
Your Honor, objection in reference to the discussion. we had.
Exceeds the scope.
Yes.
Sustained.
Okay. Did the trust pay any mortgage payments on the home after Eric died?
Ms. Nestor, it's the same objection.
Okay.
Sustained.
Has the trust reimbursed family members for costs paid to a private investigator?
Pause for 1 second. Go ahead.
Same objection scope.
Yep.
We're well outside the scope of direction, Ms. Nestor.
Yep.
Sustained.
The rest of your questions are beyond the
May I
scope.
approach?
Sure.
Oh, sweet Jesus. So the judge's first ruling was, I don't know about the relevance because I haven't gotten the testimony with respect to this trust that you're going to be asking about. So when he makes a relevance objection, I don't know because we didn't get the predicate testimony. There's that issue. Then there's also the issue of it's beyond the scope of the direct examination. This is all getting knocked down on the scope objection right now. Both of those are big issues. No, the judge just said that the judge just said that she can only do cross-exam so far. And really the prosecutor just wanted to have 5 minutes with the witness to ask her, here's the problem he's got. He since the defense did a motion to exclude her as a witness, he wants to talk to her and see if that's okay. Or if she's going to freak out if she's excluded from the courtroom until she gets recalled. But he can't do that till there's a break because she's on the stand. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but it does to me. But what do I know? I'm just a simple country lawyer trying to bang out a living. Yeah, I think this focus on money is horrible for the defense right here. All that's doing is reinforcing that she's a greedy bee. She's not helping her client. This is horrible strategy. On top of everything else, it's horrible, horrible strategy. It doesn't matter. She's guilty of sin. She's gonna get convicted. But this makes her look even worse. It's like she's trying to fight the trust right now. That's some different litigation, but she's like trying to get that in here in her own murder trial. It's so stupid. The argument here is the sister's a big
Thank you, Your
meanie. She won't approve expenses. Yeah, she thinks she killed her brother. Everyone can see that.
Just 1 minute. I'm trying to comply with your ruling. Just give me 1 second because I think there's another topic that I'm going to have to save for a direct.
Yeah, you don't have anything else.
Yeah, I think so. All right. All right. I want to talk to you about the day of Eric's death. You mentioned, I believe you mentioned that when you got there, Kouri looked put together.
Correct.
She was in pajamas. Is that right?
Like a matching sweatsuit.
She was in a matching sweatsuit.
Like sweatsuit pajamas. I don't know the technical,
Okay.
what they were sold as.
And you
sorry.
said her hair was fixed.
It was pulled up.
It was pulled up in a messy bun. Is that what you recall?
But yeah, it was pulled up, neatly done.
Her hair was neatly done. That's what you recall.
Yeah, look similar to today, just on top of her head.
And you also said that you went to the ground and she just stood there and did not comfort you in any way.
Not that I recall.
Okay. Katie, can you please, just for the witness only, Your Honor, we'd like to play a clip. This is State's Exhibit 1-4.
Pause 1 second. Does this have sound? It won't now.
Doesn't have sound, I don't think.
Okay.
So only for her to review.
Well, hold on a second. It's real hard for me to do only the witness.
Oh, I
Can you
mean
do-
the witness and counsel.
Okay,
Sorry.
Mr. Bloodworth.
It's S1-4.
Of course.
She is. It's not going to work. I highly doubt. I don't care if she said I'm sorry and her hair was a little messy. It still doesn't help. And that's your best case scenario.
One minute, folks. Thank you.
I'm waiting on them. Just pull up the blur. Is it that exact same clip with the blur? Like, can we just stop when we say stop? That's fine with me. Okay, I think we're gonna pull up their amended one that they just served like 2 days ago.
No problem. Table. Scott, you let me know when you're ready to go. Just a moment.
Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
This is no one's fault. This was a brand new version that we have not even seen yet. So we're trying to accommodate their new version.
No problem.
Sorry, just 1 second.
Your Honor, can perhaps the court instruct the jury just on the difference of the clips?
We're just making sure that the faces of children are blurred. Something we need to do throughout the case. They are still photographs that are on the wall depicted in an exercise of caution. We just want to make sure we blur those before we publish them. This is going out to the world. It's not just the people in here. Ms. Nestor, Mr. Bloodworth, would you approach for a moment? This is like watching paint dry. That's not fair to you. So let's give you a lunch break. Counsel, we have brought lunch for the jury in today. Is a 30-minute lunch break agreeable?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. We will take a break until 12:40. Katie, if you'd sit tight for me for 1 moment.
Okay.
All right. Please rise for the jury. All right, have a seat. Thank you. During this lunch break, it's as if you are still on the stand and it's not a take-home exam. So I need you to isolate yourself, not talk to anybody.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's 30 minutes. Just keep to yourself. If
Okay.
you need to grab a sandwich or from somebody else, that's fine.
Okay.
We just can't have you conferring with anybody about anything.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Bloodworth, anything further?
Your Honor, can I retrieve 849 from the whip?
Of course. Ms. Nestor, anything further?
No, sir.
We'll be in recess until 12:40. Thank you for your patience.
Well, I think I will close this one down and start a fresh one. I think that's the best play here. All right, I'm going to start a fresh stream for the afternoon. The judge freaked me out there. I'll just do that so that the next one starts off fresh and that it's not so long.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the Kouri Richins trial with us. But I'll
shut
tell you
your
what, you
hole,
know what
would
a lot
ya?
of these trials remind me of, the ones that we cover? It reminds me that the world is very unpredictable. And I will tell you, having a great lawyer...
Shut your hole. Get out of here. Get out of here with that garbage. All right. I'll close this down. I'll set up another stream here in a minute. I will see y'all in about a half hour.